Starting record. I got the notification.
Oh, cool. It says recording on my end. Is it
Yep, I
recording on
see it.
yours?
Yeah, I see a little red dot on the top left.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I figured I'd put this in the video. The audio one, I'll press I'll plunk it down, maybe have an intro and outro. I don't know. But like you last time we talked, we were on Anchor, and if you go out of Anchor, which I do, because I pull up these notes like I sent you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you let your screen go dark, it'll turn off audio.
Oh, yeah.
So like I'd be recording and like go to notes and be like, well, another thing, and go on a tangent, and then it wouldn't be
Oh,
recording. And plus, it's kind of easier
brutal.
if I could see you, so
Right.
it feels a
More
little better,
personal.
a little bit better. Yeah. I just hope there's no
Oh,
lag with my mouth and audio and everything, because there is on my
it's
screen, but
it seems like it's keeping up pretty well on my end. Uh, yeah,
yours is no problem, and you're on your phone, so
yeah.
that's.
Man, I've got like really high speed internet. Just if it drops, it drops. But
I am
when it's here, it's good.
I have gigabit fiber internet, and I'm wired in on this laptop, so I could make sure that there's no connection errors or whatever. But apparently, right now, I've already done the intro. So Zach's back on the show.
Hey.
Hey, we've already talked for like a fucking hour. So, um, but no, you were on to talk about the Series S controller, and we're gonna talk because like talking to myself, man, talking about because we're officially in Generation 9 now. So talking about it by myself just seemed like, what else could I say? I've already talked about PlayStation, Xbox, and I want to get someone else's perspective on it and everything. So, like I was telling you earlier, I figured I'd go through because I didn't know this until probably noon today that we are officially in Generation 9. Um,
Man.
the only the only weird part is Nintendo's place in that, like where they're at, because they've had these weird iterations. So Generation 1 was 1972. It started with the Magnavox Odyssey. And then Generation 3 was in 1976, and that was the Atari 2600 and television era. And then that's the generation that had the crash, I think, in 82 with ET. Um, and that was brought back by Generation 3 with the Famicom, NES, as we know it in the States. And then 88 was technically Gen 4 start because that's when Sega launched their next system in Japan, and they later brought it a year later to the States. And the SNES was 1990. So that Gen 4 technically is 88. Now, Gen 5, 6, 7, and 8. Gen 5 was PS, N64, and the Jaguar. Oh, the cat attacked my light. Um, Generation 6 was PS2, GameCube. now, now he's laying on it and loving on it.
It's
Generation
his now.
6, it belongs to him.
Mm-hmm.
Generation 6 was PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and Dreamcast. Generation 7 was 360, PS3, and Wii. And Generation 8 was kind of the weird overlap because now with Xbox, you have Xbox One, PS4, but with
Right.
Nintendo, is the Wii U the next generation after Wii? Because it was a new system, kind of. It had exclusive games that only played on it.
Right. Yeah, that was weird. And but like it was marketed so poorly. I think it was kind of like considered a failure.
Or even like an
Right.
add-on, which it technically wasn't, but did play
Yeah.
Wii games and supported all the controllers. So that's the only part where I think that, in my opinion, Nintendo started going like, we're doing our own thing. You guys fucking
Yeah.
do what you want.
Yeah, they're not beholden. Like I've started looking at Nintendo as like, man, it's like a toy that's not like really in the same market that Microsoft and Sony are in, right? Like
Yeah,
they're playing a totally different game. It's not a bad thing. It's just a different
no,
thing.
it is. Because then where do you put the Switch? Because Gen 8 was Xbox One, PS4. Gen 9 is now Xbox Series S or X, and then PS5. And the Switch is like another thing where it's like in that weird, it's definitely not a Wii or Wii U. It's definitely the next
No,
system.
it's the next one, that's for sure. But where's the second? I don't actually know this, but like I'm thinking graphically or like processing power, teraflops, geek speak. What's it? It's like between the 360 and the Xbox One, right? Or is it a little bit higher than
It's
that?
it's definitely above. it says it's above a 360 and possibly slightly above a PS3, but not not near Xbox PS4 standards,
Right.
obviously, because there's no option for a lot of things that those systems offer, let alone built-in voice chat. But even though the Wii had that, but no, it's definitely above them, but I don't know how much it is, which is, it's not a knock to it because it is an entirely portable fucking system that is more
Right. Like
powerful than.
it's really, I think it's more of like a convergence point, right? Between their like you said, the mobile consoles they had. They had the
Mhm.
the Game Boy, the
Yeah.
Color, the DS, the Switch, what no, not Switch, God. The DS, the 3DS, the 3DS XL. Now the Switch, it's like just kind of like an intersection point. And now
I,
home console and mobile console are one and the same.
yeah, and that kind of brings me to one thing that makes me laugh is that when you start talking about the DS, you're like, oh, the DS, and then like DS Lite, DSi, DSi Lite, 3DS, 2DS, like they're the kings of same generational reimagining, I guess is what you want to say. Even though
Like,
are those new systems, because
do
like they
you
do different
think
things.
you think Capcom would be a sister company with a
Yes,
Super Turbo
exactly.
Alpha
Yes.
DXS Ultra
DSS Ultra Legacy Power
Alpha
Mode. Yeah. Hyper fighting. But then
Extreme?
but then going, since we're in the ninth generation, I'm firmly in this camp of Pro Switch. Like I want a Switch Pro so bad. I think that should be the name, because PlayStation, honestly, their naming is. I wouldn't say PlayStation's naming is great, but it's pretty good because you can't fuck it up. So like
So
Switch, you got PS4 Pro, and then Slim, it's slimmer. Like you know what it is. I think it should be
yeah,
Switch Pro.
yeah, whatever they do, it's got to be better than what Xbox is doing with their names. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know what that's
Exactly.
supposed to mean.
There was
Uh,
Capcom now. There
yeah.
even the Switch is a better the Wii U was pretty bad, but the Switch, at least I'm like, oh, and then
So
Switch is.
so if they do a mid, gen, even though it's not really a gen anymore, yeah, like as far as console gen upgrade to the Switch,
Mhm,
I know that like the expectations are a better market, a better social thing for like friends list, right?
yeah.
Voice chat, party chat, the whole nine yards on that. Are you expecting like processing overhaul? Are you
hmm
expecting it to get
Yeah, I'm
like is it going to be like on parity with like Xbox Series S maybe? Like is that what
I
you're expecting? 'Cause, like
I was thinking that because of how small that system actually is, of
right,
how insanely tiny it is. I've actually seen it, um, started seeing
but
more comparison pictures of it, and I'm like, holy shit. I don't
But
know.
if we do that, though, you take into account that when they do these mid quote unquote gen upgrades, it's got to be retroactively compatible. All the games that come out on it have to work on, the day one console, right?
hmm
Like every game that played on the Xbox One X played on the Xbox One OG. But
Yes, yeah,
if you got the Switch Pro running at like Xbox Series S speeds, but yet Switch OG is running at like below Xbox One standards,
yeah. It would
you're not
definitely
really
need.
going to be maximizing that. There's going to be such a wide gap there. Like they
Yeah,
may just have to do a new console gen. Like it's going to be a new thing.
they. I.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's
What?
too early to phase out the Switch?
Well, that's the thing too, because like if you start going, okay, you guys want 4K, you guys want at least 30 frames a second, you guys want all this stuff built in, it can't be portable. You know what I mean?
I
Like
mean, yeah,
we're going to release the next Nintendo, which is a non-portable system that gives you all these things, and then we're going to make a Switch Pro that has more built-in memory. It's probably the same size or maybe a little bit bigger screen, maybe a little thinner. I don't know. And then you got all these people that collect Joy Cons, like hundreds of Joy Cons that if that
oh
don't
my
work
god.
anymore. So I don't know how that goes, but if they could pull off somehow at least getting us 1440p or something like that, um, that'd be great. And then the built-in memory being able to support voice chat, better social function, stuff like that, I'd even be okay with that. But then, like you said, you get this thing where you could technically start having companies third-party support, which is what they really need, and they were really bad for years and years and years on third-party
Hmm.
support. Is where you're like, okay, am I going to see Valhalla on this thing? And if so, like you just pointed out, that fucker's not playing on the old OG Switch, but it might play
Right.
on the new one. So then do you do the marketing that they did with like the 3D, the new the new
The
3DS
new 3DS.
XL, where there were some games that only played on that system because it had the little right stick that you could,
Hmm.
turn the camera with or whatever, but the old system didn't have it. So they were like, hey, this only plays on the new system, guys, just so you know. I think I'd still be okay with that.
But I'm not a marketing guy, but like to me, if you're
Me
still
either.
trying to sell the Switch, the OG Switch, and keep that relevant, that's gonna be really hard to do, right? Like people are like,
Hmm.
well, why would I buy that? I can't buy any new games for it.
Yeah.
Like, like that. I think that's when like a console hits its death knell, right? Like where it's like, oh, dead man walking, walking the mile,
Hmm.
because new games aren't coming out anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
I was amazed when like Ubisoft put out that South Park game at the end of the 360 life cycle.
Well, the fractured
Uh,
butthole.
no, it was the stick of truth was
Oh
at
yeah,
the
it
end.
was
Yeah,
because there was a next
hmm,
gen stick of truth. I remember.
yeah,
For some reason, my Xbox downloaded both of them, and
yeah. And
even
I'm
the
like,
360. I was like, well,
and
I'll get
like
the other one.
I remember that's the last 360 game I bought was the stick of truth. And then I got my Xbox One, and there were other 360 games that came out, but I'm like, I don't care about these. They're old gen. I don't care. I'm going new.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the funny thing is like that's hard to do now with just totally cutting off a
oh
catalog of games
yeah.
is like not, it's not a thing that is like
Well,
wanted
no,
anymore. I don't want it, but then like
no.
it's also not the way I think anymore too. Because I'm like, well, I might want to go back to that.
But it's so different now too because this is the first generational jump we've seen where the digital library is so much more accessible than before because like on the 360 digital library sucked. It was for
Hmm.
a while it was just arcade games. I don't know how it
Yeah.
was on the PS3, but on the
Well, I feel like
360.
I think that was the big start. The Summer of Arcade was like the big push for digital games, and you start seeing more like indie developers get access to it because they had the whole ID at Xbox program, and you start seeing people being able to bring. I mean, even games like Super Meat Boy, which was like what, two guys developed that fucking game, and
Hmm.
Xbox was like, "Here's all the tools, do what you want." But
Right,
yeah,
yeah, they owned it.
mm,
And but now Sony and Microsoft are both doing their best to embrace backwards compatibility to where you don't have to forfeit your old collection.
yeah.
And I
I
think that's really cool.
I will give that game or that trophy easily to Xbox
Oh yeah.
because of how well they've done backwards compatibility. And they said, damn, was it 3 years ago now when they first launched? No, that must have been like 2016. They first started launching the idea of being able to play like 360 games. I think in 2018 is they launched like OG Xbox games. They're like, hey, now you can play these games on there. And I still had my Knights of the Old Republic disc, and I was like, no fucking way. It works. Holy shit. Like that was kind of crazy to me.
How cool is it going to be to boot up your Series X, pop that disc in, or in my case, load up the digital one, see the OG Xbox like the plasma thing
Yeah.
fire up, and then boom, and then
God.
and
I
then
thought
you're playing KOTOR on the ninth gen.
it tripped me out to play any 360 game and be able to hit well, I don't know what they technically are.
The pizza box and the fries,
Yeah,
whatever they're called.
these two suckers right here, to hit
Yeah.
those things and then see the old blades pop up. And I was like, oh, they didn't
No,
have to do that. You guys
no,
didn't
they
have to do
didn't.
that. Like, holy shit. I still see like my old gamer picture and everything.
Hmm.
And I've said that like I don't know why PlayStation hasn't jumped on that harder, because even as of right now, I could totally be wrong, but all I've heard on the PS5 that you can play is PS4 games. Now
That's what I'm hearing too.
there's avenues to play older games through PlayStation Now, but even on PlayStation Now, I've heard that if you log into that service on PS5, that you only have access to like whatever PS4 games they have. And I know they've done a good job of trying to not they're not even keeping up with Game Pass, but to at least go, okay, streaming's not the way to go. Like you need to be able to play these natively, download them and play them off of your system to make this
Oh
of
well, yeah.
to make it of any value. So that they have done that or whatever. But like with the library that PlayStation has is insane. If you go all the way back to PS1, like they have some of arguably the best games ever made. And I'm like, why would you not make that playable on PS5, because even if you get new people into it, kids or whatever, like, you know, your kids, my kids, whoever's kids, and like, I'm like, yeah, but have you played Final Fantasy 7, like the original? Like, you can do that, and like they're gonna get my $10 or whatever the fuck they want to charge me,
Oh
so
yeah.
I can relive the original game with my kid or something like that. So I don't know why they're not like, oh my god, we're
It's
sitting on a pile of gold. Like,
it's a missed opportunity for sure so far. I think if they've got people that know what's up, they will jump on it.
well,
Because
look at
it's just a
Nintendo.
money printer, you know. The only thing that would be a kink in the works, I think, is licensing, right? Like where it expires.
Exactly.
If any game has like any sort of soundtrack that
Hmm.
had a timed licensing right,
That's out of here. Yeah, and
yeah.
plus some of those games too just have third party licensing too, which is properties. So
Hmm.
you can't play that kind of stuff anymore, which kind of sucks. But no, but then you have Nintendo. It's just like, I just rebought Mario 64 for like the sixth time like a month ago. So
Right.
they're never gonna stop selling their stuff, which I'm totally okay with. But
Well, no, that's like the Disney Vault, right? Like
no, it opens up
we,
every once in a while.
we'll throw Mario 64 at you. You'll buy it for fucking $50. Like
And I
just
did.
just do it and like it. I don't hate them for it. It
They,
works.
they didn't even change the aspect ratio. It's still the same.
No,
It's still the same thing. They upgraded
why would they?
Sunshine,
Well,
Sunshine, and Galaxy. They updated those a little bit. They look
they
great, but
they don't
not
have to update it.
not
Why
Mario
would they at this
64.
point? I wouldn't.
It wasn't even the
You know.
DS version where you get like the extra coins or the extra
Oh,
stars. As far as I know, it's not.
well, yeah, and you can play like Wario and Yoshi and Luigi on
Yes.
the DS. Yeah,
God,
yeah,
played the shit out of that version. But
I did too.
okay, I'll start plowing through these notes so I can get to it.
Right.
But so we're recording this on Friday 13th. I actually love Friday 13th. I'm gonna watch at least one of the movies today. I recommend those a lot. But Xbox launched
What,
on
what's your
Tuesday. Wait, what?
what's your favorite one? What's your favorite one?
Well, probably Manhattan. I like anything.
Same.
I like any movie where like you take the element, like Jurassic Park, Lost World, even
Hmm.
just the small part where they're in San Diego or something like that. I was just like, that's my movie. I love when they go into the real world and like other people see them. So
Hmm.
I loved it when he was those kids at the
Fish out of water.
those kids exactly, and the kids had the boom box, and he walks by and just or does he just kick it? I think he does.
Yeah, he just plows right through it, and like these dudes like jump up, like they're
You see that dude
very
walking down with a mask, and you're like, oh
yeah, and he just like lifts it up as like this waterlogged zombie thing, and they're like, "Oh, you're cool, man."
god damn, that was so good.
Or like
Uh,
the rooftop boxing thing. I don't want to take too
yes,
much time out of it, but like that
no,
was
but
just such a
yes,
good. Oh,
I like I said, I thought that was I like that one honestly, and that's like later. I thought that one was like the third or fourth. I think it's like the sixth or seventh
it's
maybe.
yeah, it's like sixth or seventh. It's late in the like they've jumped the shark 3 times over at this point.
Absolutely, and there was
It's not just.
there's really good. I know you can find it on YouTube, and I think Corey Feldman narrates it because he's in the movies. If you guys don't know, and he narrates this like awesome, super long making of all the movies, and like they were literally just slapped the fuck together, like by people that were like, this is popular, slashes are good, make this fucking movie, and they just kind of like made it. And I was just like, wow, okay. Like they barely got rights to film where they filmed. Like it was just this. They just
And
went.
some of
They
them,
hardcore went into it.
like Part 9, was such a like a fever dream kind of movie. Jason
God,
Goes to Hell.
that
Like they have Freddy Krueger's hand pull his
yeah.
mask to hell. Yeah.
And surprisingly, I went back and rewatched a bunch of stuff on Freddy versus Jason, and I watched that one last Friday 13th because I was like, oh yeah, Freddy versus Jason. I remember this. I like both these guys. That movie still holds up, honestly.
I mean, yeah,
Surprisingly, it does. Like,
it's like a slapstick comedy with like just like body horror, I guess, sort of like just
well,
practical effects is what really makes it worth watching. Is the practical effects.
and then also I totally forgot that like, you know, Jason's afraid of water because he drowned, and then
Hmm.
Freddy's afraid of fire because he was burned. And so when they fight each other, like Freddy uses water against him, and then when like Jason's fighting Freddy, there's like fire around him, and like
Right.
he has the upper hand. And I was like, oh shit, this movie goes deep. Like I didn't realize it went
Yeah.
that deep. Like holy
Like
shit.
it was. It did the same thing that like a lot of your big crossover things where they just like make up wait because like Freddy never cared about fire, Jason never cared about water, and like any of their other like dozen movies.
Not at
But
all. Nope.
it was fun. It was good. They had a new metal soundtrack. It
Yeah.
was
Oh god, so good. I still remember that sitting on the shelf at like fucking, I think it's Walmart, probably a censored version if it was at Walmart. But no, Tuesday the 10th, in the States at least, the Xbox Series S and X launched, and then yesterday PS5 launched on the 12th, and I think it's what the 19th in Europe. It comes out,
yeah.
um, and I wrote down the notes for launch availability. Well, they launched. I don't know what else to say about that. They're out. Um, a lot
They're
of people,
out. All of them are gone. You can't
yeah,
get
they're
them.
they're fucking gone. And I didn't know this until Tuesday. Now a lot of people were getting them early, which
Right.
that was my red herring. I was like, oh, everything's gonna be great. This is a great sign. People are getting them early, like regular people. And Xbox was not like banning their accounts when they put them online. They're like, whatever, fuck it, we don't. Um,
Right.
it wasn't like these were like reviewers that got review copies. These were legitimate, just like, hey, my Amazon brought my shit. Now, granted, a lot of people hit the Amazon curse where even for PS5 and Xbox, both systems, actually all four systems, if you want to count the digital and this version of the PS5, people were getting the wrong versions. Some of them were got delayed. Some of them, got delivered wrong address. Typical. Whenever you have Amazon or any place involved, you're going to get that kind of shit or whatever. So
Yeah.
I
Could you
totally
imagine?
bit the bite. I totally took the bait that they were going to have a good launch.
Could you imagine being like the customer service guy that fields that call? Like, there's no more in stock, and you got to tell this nerd that pre-ordered his console, hey, we don't have the right one. Send
Sorry.
that one back. Or like if you're one of like the 1 in a million people that have like a defective console,
Yep.
and hey, sorry, but we can't replace it yet.
Nope, because we don't have them. Now,
Yeah,
I sent you that tweet that Phil Spencer tweeted out a day before launch on Monday, where he was in this Indiana Jones style warehouse with all these fucking Xboxes, in the background or whatever. And I told you, I was like, man, I really hope that that's like the second wave, because as of right now, both Sony and Microsoft are not reporting like, hey, we're having manufacturing issues, blah blah blah,
no,
all shit like that. They're both just like, no, as far as we know, we're just going to keep resupplying them. Like, and
yeah,
I'm optimistically hopeful that we'll hear something about shipments coming out next week. Like, hey, we're going to do another shipments on these week. Go to Walmart. But I didn't know this until Tuesday, when I literally thought I was going to walk into a Walmart and just get lucky that they were just going to be on the shelf and no one knew, because there's like 3 Walmarts around here. Um, that for PlayStation and Xbox, that there's no in-store sales. Like they're not putting any systems on shelves, none of that kind of shit. It was a queue system for Walmart, and I'm not sure how Target did it. I know that Target was like, go online, buy it, do in-store pickup. GameStop was doing the same thing. Sony had a really, really nice, from what I've heard, like queue system. Like if you got in, it put you in a digital waiting line, and like did like a countdown, like you're this place in line. If you just keep your browser open, you will get access to a pre-order, you will get access to a system, and we'll ship it in 1 to 2 days. And I heard of people yesterday that got in that queue, got it in. There was no crazy manic like, oh, it's in my cart, I gotta hurry and check out shit. It was like, hey, you have 15 minutes, you can buy all your accessories, here's your system. And some people are getting them like on Saturday. So I was like,
hmm,
hey, so as far as I know, from what I've heard, your best bet for a PlayStation is just doing it right from Sony's website. Microsoft was a mess, but
Microsoft's still a mess. Like, I looked on there, and like the only way to get it is to either take it like a credit out to do the like the 36-month plan.
mhm,
Or like if you don't want to do that, you have to go through a retailer's website. You don't get any certain special code or anything.
yeah,
And it's sold out on Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, GameStop, EB Games, whatever you want.
yep.
Like
And
it's
they
all out of stock or not available.
exactly. And they're touting. I know once we get past this, because there's always like a bump and everyone freaks out the first week or two or even month of any kind of release. Like back in the day before digital games, there was a time where like Grand Theft Auto 3, you could not buy that game.
Right.
Like the game was just out.
Oh yeah.
So like that doesn't exist anymore, obviously, with video games and everything like that. But with any kind of release, I know people kind of freak out or whatever. And I know like this time 3 months from now, we're going to be like, remember when we freaked out? Now the systems are everywhere. They have this all access deal, which is good. It just doesn't work right now because you can't buy a system. But the
Hmm.
all access system where it's like what, 25 a month for the Series S and 35 a month for the Series X, and there's no
Right.
upfront costs, and you're supposed to just go in, you pay nothing up front, you sign up, there is a credit check, I don't know how extensive it is, and then you're approved, and then you just make these monthly payments, and you get, and the monthly payments are for 2 years, and for that entire 2 years, that covers your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and your system, and of course your controller, and
Right.
cables and shit. But um, that's a great plan to get, I think, get people in. It's just like, hey, you can go somewhere now and not pay anything up front and walk out with the system, or have an easy pay program that's actually backed by Microsoft. It's not like you're going through a third party, getting a credit card at Target and paying it off that and then paying off your credit card. Like you're going through it. So the whole idea in theory is a great fucking idea. It's just you can't do it.
Right. It's definitely demand overtaking supply right now. But here's the other caveat, right? Like I've only been current with adapting with a new gen on time once, and it was last gen.
Mhm.
And I was excited. And with the upgrading from the 360 to the Xbox One, it was a big leap.
Mhm.
You know, you had
Yeah.
a very different UI, and there were certain games that you could only play on the one that you couldn't play on the 360.
Yes.
But I mean, it really like all I had was Titanfall and Killer Instinct 3 for a while,
I think I had
and it
Rise.
yeah, Rise was another one. I
I think I
didn't
was
get that
a
one, but for the longest time, I mean, those games like they weren't the most stellar games of the generation, right? And like you gotta, I guess a lot of people get anxiety, like, oh, I gotta have this right now, and yeah, maybe there's like a status thing, and some people for some people, but like really, there's not a big rush to
mm,
get the PS5 and the Series X right now.
no,
Like
I don't think so either.
I mean, if you want it, definitely more the power to you.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get them both. I'm excited to get them both, but I'm not missing out by not having them yet. I'm actually missing out more not having the PS5 because I don't even have a PS4. You know, because I want to
Yeah.
play some PS4 games. Like I'm
Yes.
excited to play some PS4 games that I've never played.
As far as I know,
Uh,
all those are going to be backwards compacts. They're like they first
right.
started out with like the top 100, but now they're like all but like 7 are going to work on PS5. So
So like the transfer to PS5 is probably going to be a bigger deal to me because I'm going to have a new UI to work with. I'm going to have a new controller. I'm going to have new games. I'm going to have a bunch. I'm going to have a whole generation of new games, right?
hmm.
Uh, and so that's very exciting for me. But I'm in a very like unique situation that maybe not everybody else is in. That's getting these next gen consoles.
Yeah, because see,
So
I have the PS4 Slim, so I have HDR capabilities, and it looks Spider-Man looks spectacular on it.
mhm.
And all the games that are out right now for PS5, I can play on my PS4 with at least HDR, and it looks great. So
That Godfall game looks cool, but I see it's got like bad reviews. I was kind of
yeah,
excited for it though. Like aesthetically, it looks good, but and it's Gearbox, so I mean they do loot stuff good usually.
that's what I've been hearing from. I think I don't think there was too many on Metacritic as of right now. I think there was like 2 scores on there, but I don't know if I only know if those were critics or if those were users.
And I saw the cheapest that game goes is $70. Like, is that just the standard now for next
I
gen games?
I know that
70?
there's a weird, because I know that I think that was it Miles Morales? I think
Oh, that was
Miles,
50.
but I think that that's the one. No, it wasn't Miles Morales. There was one that was 60, and then if you got the special edition, it was 80. And I just saw it, and I can't remember which one it is. There was no 70 version. And like the
Yeah.
$80 version got you some extra stuff, whatever, but it didn't like separate generations if you got the 80 versus the 60 or whatever. But I know if you get just strictly the PS5 for Call of Duty, that goes to 70. I think
There's
NBA 2K21 goes to 70.
there's 3 versions of Godfall, and I haven't looked too close at it, but like the base game is 70. Then there's like $100 version, and that gets you some DLC, maybe some cosmetics. I like it has a lot of words. I mean, I like words. Uh, like, but
Fireman.
yeah, why use many words when less words do trick? And then there's like $120 version, and it gives you like some like gold skins and some cosmetics and everything the $100 version gets you. And I'm definitely like confused because I didn't know that was the standard. Like I know people talking about 70 being the new standard,
I
but
first
I
started hearing
wasn't.
about it with NBA 2K21 going to like, hey, here's a PS5, here's a Series X version for 70. And then Black Ops Cold War going to 70. So I think we're there because there's been a talk for a couple, at least the last 2 generations, because that's when I feel like they went to 60, of when they're going to finally go to 70, just to keep studios afloat, apparently.
Right. I mean, you know, it could be a lot worse. We've not really seen a jump in price since what I think PS2 era was 50, right?
I think so.
For new games. So, we had the PS3 era, we had the PS4 era. I'm going by PlayStation just because it's easier to linearly
It
instead of
is.
saying Xbox 360, Xbox One.
Yep.
PS2 was 50. I think N64 was, or PS1 N64 was 50, wasn't it? I wasn't buying games at that
I'm
age.
pretty
They were being
sure
bought for me.
60. I'm pretty sure Mario 64 was like $50, and GoldenEye
Okay,
was like $50.
so 50, 50, then PS3, we went to 60. PS4, we stayed at 60. PS5, maybe 70.
I don't know either.
I mean, video gaming is not the most cheap hobby out there, but it's not the most expensive. 10 extra bucks for how many
Oh,
new games do you buy a year, right? How many do you buy them when they first come out per year? Maybe you buy more than I do. I don't know. I buy maybe 5,
yeah.
maybe 5 a
I
year.
I don't know the last time I paid, where I was like I had to wait for a game, and then it came out, and I paid full price, except for like Mario 3D All Stars,
Right.
because some way I'm either going like, oh, there's so many games in my backlog, I'll get to it,
Hmm.
or the holidays hit. Like last year, I got Assassin's Creed Odyssey for like $26, like 3 months after it came out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I will never buy another Ubisoft game on launch again.
You're like,
Like they go
never.
on sale so much,
They
and
do.
not saying that they're bad games. I think that their quality's gone down a bit. Well, that's just my opinion, but I I just they always go on huge sales, and you'll get the like every holiday or maybe the holiday following an Assassin's Creed launch, the full version with all the DLC will be $70 tops, when it's
Yeah.
usually like $110. Like it's a no brainer.
Apparently, Mario 64 was indeed 59.99 at launch.
Wow.
But that's just, I'm on some board, and some people are like, oh, but I guess back then games are variable, and that was a first party game, so
That's weird.
I'm guessing the majority of 64 games are 50, and it was like, well, it's the next Mario game, so fuck you.
That's so
That's
crazy.
that's what I'm thinking. But with Game Pass and then PlayStation Plus and Games of
Oh
Gold,
yeah.
and then like there's a billion games for like a penny on Switch. So I don't know the last time I paid for that. And then if you have any kind of patience, you can get a system for cheaper than it would cost, like less than a year after launch, or trade up or do
Oh yeah.
something. But
I mean, I don't know. I got a friend that builds PCs, and the amount of money he pays into it, and I'm like, man, I'm just gonna drop $900, have both consoles, not have to build anything. It's all
exactly.
there. Plug in my TV, I go, and
To, to
I'm set for like 5 years, maybe
yeah,
7.
and to honestly have something that you can't get at the same price range. Like
Yeah.
I don't know of a PC you're going to buy that you're going to get, up to 120 hertz, up to, with 4K, with ray tracing, with HDR. Like I just don't know a PC that you're going to be able to get that built in and then not have something happen to it.
Now speaking of those hertz and the HDR, I listened to Major Nelson's last podcast. Maybe it's the second to last. I don't know. I haven't checked in a couple days, but he talks about like the things you need to do to have your TV and your home entertainment system set up for the Series X,
Okay.
to make sure you're maximizing its productivity output, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
One thing he says, which seemed like a no-brainer, is when you unhook your Xbox One, assumedly, take the HDMI out with it. The Xbox Series X is coming with a new higher
Yep.
speed,
2.1.
efficient HDMI. Yeah,
I think
2.1. I don't
2.1.
the Big Mac Daddy of HDMI cables is all I know. Uh, and then another thing is you want to check your TV. I've got a 65-inch Samsung smart TV with 4K and HDR,
Hmm.
and I compared its model number on the back. Um, I'm actually not hitting the refresh rate for the 120 frames per second that the Series X can hit. And this
Yeah.
TV is maybe 3 years old, like at that.
Yep.
Um,
I looked at mine too. Mine is it's a 60 hertz base with 120 hertz CMI, which
mhm.
I knew what that was. It's pretty much like a simulated 120 hertz, so it has the capabilities, but
Mhm.
I don't know. For some reason, it's just like it's not a. It's like how you have all these different steps of 4K. It's like, oh, you have
Yeah,
upres 4K and interlace 4K and this 4K and that 4K, and then you say like, oh no, but this is true 4K.
yeah,
120
it's
hertz is kind of
definitely
the same thing.
different TV brands have different definitions of what true 4K and HDR mean, and
Exactly,
I
because
didn't
you
I
have
didn't know
HDR,
that.
HDR10, which HDR10 is kind of like HDR10 is not even the lowest HDR you can have on your television, but it's somehow the industry like baseline now. Like everything
Hmm.
just HDR10, you just see HDR10. But there are lower HDRs, so please like check your televisions, like the boxes before you buy them.
And there is a website that actually compares these for you. Like you just plug in your model number, your serial number, whatever's in the back of your TV, and
Oh, what is it?
it'll look it up. Uh, it's in my search history. I gotta pull it back up.
Oh shit.
I it's God, it'll come back to me when I stop thinking about it. It's I think Major Nelson's podcasts are pretty. If you're interested in this kind of the Xbox Series stuff, you should listen to him anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're into plugging other podcasts on here, but
Yeah, absolutely.
he's a pretty chill guy from what I've heard. It'll occur to me later. It's like God, I can't remember, but it was a very thorough website.
TVcompare.com. Something
It's
simple.
something like that. Like yeah, it's man, I'd pull it up on my phone, but like I don't know if switching windows is gonna pull me out of the recording, so
I have no
I don't want to
clue.
risk it.
It didn't
I guess I could
earlier.
try it.
It didn't earlier when you were just talking to me, but yeah, it might just be because it's recording on my end. It probably won't mess with yours.
Let's see, because I've got it.
Oh, I
All
got
right, are
your.
we still there?
Yeah, it just shows your picture. it
Okay.
just it
Oh,
just shows like a profile picture. Well, now I see you again, but
okay. Yeah, I switched back just to see. All right, let me look it up really quick. If it's still in my recent search. Yeah. Okay. It's if my keyboard. Yeah, it's ratings.com, but it's spelled RTINGS.
okay,
So ratings without the A.com.
okay.
Rtings, I guess, like if you
Martins.
wanna if you wanna phonetically spell it.
These are
And
tings and
that
these are tings.
yeah, like like a Miss Cleo.
Yes, exactly.
Rtings. Uh and you can just put in the model number and it'll compare what like as far as like HD movie streaming, gaming, high def gaming,
Damn,
if your TV is good for it. And then you can compare different TV models if you're looking to buy a TV for the new gen,
that's
you
good.
know.
That's really
So
good. I think I
that's
got
just
lucky with
something.
mine just being on sale uh, back in like March or April, something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
I got my TCL 65 and it has HDR10 and the 4K and everything, but the refresh rate's not something I thought about. And
I
luckily, it's
mean,
at least 60, which yeah, some of these things go to 120 hertz, and I'll get into this later. But like a lot of the games that will rock you to the 120 hertz, they won't have bells and whistles like full
no.
HDR and ray tracing. It's just like, oh, you're gonna get some 4K from. I know PlayStation 5 does like with Spider-Man does it a little weird, which I could talk about. But I think as long as you're doing rocking 60, I think you're totally fine. Because even I mean, I don't even know if I've played a game that's true 4K 30. So I could imagine rocking 4K 60 just
Right.
consistently. I mean, it playing
It'd
something
be
like Doom Eternal would be great.
Oh yeah, be a game changer. Like, cause you can with the Xbox One X, uh, there is in the settings, and then you go to display. There's a way it'll like use the HDMI cable it's plugged in to check to see if your TV has up to par with all the things the Xbox One X can do compared to the standard Xbox One.
The
And
the
my TV does hit
this
that criteria.
That's good. The Series X does the same thing. So I don't know if I sent it in the notes, but I took a screenshot of it, and a guy showed where the Xbox went through and ran as like, here's what your TV supports, and it showed
Mhm.
him everything. And there was like one thing his TV didn't support, and he was complaining about it, but it was like a laundry list of shit, and it just was a bunch of green check marks.
Right.
I was like, man,
You know how much you're gonna spend on a TV if you're gonna
yeah.
get a decent sized TV and have all that shit.
Well, all the
Like, I'm
PC
not buying a new
gamers are
TV
like
every.
120 hertz and a 65-inch 4K display. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I say I'm running a 65 inch. I'm not looking to buy. I've got two 65 inches because I got my wife set up with a TV the same size. I'm not going to buy her a smaller TV. Uh, I say I'm going to buy. I think she bought it. I don't know. Uh, shit. But you know, we're probably going to get two Series X's and probably just one PS5. Because she doesn't really give a shit about the PS5. I do.
Yeah,
I don't know where I'm gonna put both consoles to be honest. Like the Series X and the PS5. There's
just
not room
like
in my
size
entertainment
wise.
center.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like I don't know. I guess I probably have to put the PS5. That thing's a bulky son of a bitch, and like it's not symmetrical in shape.
I think
It's
16 inches tall.
yeah,
I think
and
that's what it was.
the Series X, the mini fridge. It's the same height side to side all
Yes.
over. It's gonna fit in the cubby under my TV. I'm gonna
Hmm.
have to stand the PS5 up somewhere that my giant ass dogs aren't gonna knock it over. God. But whatever. It looks cool. I want to play God of War. I want to play.
Yeah.
I want to play The Last of Us.
Yep.
I'm Spider-Man. I'm excited.
Those
I
are
don't care.
must play games, and they're amazing. And the great part is you can get them cheap. I'm not sure about the upgrade features. I know that God of War gets a free game boost.
Well,
Um,
I was following a lot of good PS4 games. PS4 had a wish list like the Xbox Store does.
mhm.
They've removed it. Like you can't access that anymore. I
Oh,
saw an article about that because I was messing because I have a PlayStation account. I made it. I've spent all the time dicking around making a profile picture and putting my name in there. Just to be excited. I already have it there when my PS5 arrives.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, of course.
but the wish list is gone. I spent like 2 hours making a wish list and it's gone. Uh,
Damn.
yeah, but I have an idea of what I like. I think they'll probably add it back once the PS5 becomes a more better thing because like they recently updated the PlayStation app on the phone just like the Xbox One did. If you have the apps,
I do. I have both. I know because they have one just says messages and one just says app, or it says PS app, PS messages.
so yeah, that's the thing. And like I think PlayStation is doing this thing with the PS5 where it's it's supposed to be like a new UI. It's supposed to be like a next gen experience. Like they're definitely sticking to their guns with
Have you
this
seen it?
is the UI.
Yeah,
I have not. I've been told that it's different than the PS4s. Is it?
barely.
Barely.
It's still like a list, like
Mm-hmm.
just like the list you have. But now there's an option to where you like long press the button. And I'm gonna get this mixed up because I know it was backwards because some people on the PlayStation podcast and IGN were complaining about it that they got it mixed up. Is like if you tap it, you go home. If you hold it, it brings up like a sub menu,
Mm-hmm.
like on an Apple computer or like your taskbar for Windows. And like then you have like a quick menu that you can do some shit on it. Um, and like that's interesting, but for the most part, it's kind of the same stuff.
Well, we how many updates have we seen for the 360 and the Xbox One? We're gonna
Yeah.
see UI updates for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, see, that's the only weird part though, is that the PlayStation 4 has been the same one,
has it really?
the same fucking one since day one. And
No,
they,
they've always had like live like dashboards, haven't they? Where like the stuff is moving in the background and you can get like
I'm
more than
not
just a static image.
I'm not sure if they've had motion, but I know that they've had custom themes where like my brother had the Persona 5 one, and like when he loaded
Mhm.
up his system, it played like the theme in the background, and I was like, oh, and the icons change and shit. Like
That's cool.
back in the day, you used to do with like your first smartphone, you change the icons, so like your photo
Hmm.
and camera picture was different and shit like that. So I've always liked that. I do know Xbox is finally getting like motion in the background, so but I don't know how much I'm going to
Yeah,
use it or how much they're going to use it.
it looks like the maybe in just like the at least the beta is like it's just like moving beams, and you can maybe change the colors of the beams.
I,
It's nothing deep, but I mean it's cool, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
I
like
know it's static now. I have a custom image on mine. I think it's like where I won a Fortnite game or something. I honestly don't remember because it's so like just in the background. I forgot what it was.
I used to have this retro thing where like somebody took the time to like make the dashboard look like a Windows 98, 95 maybe,
That'd be
to where
cool as
like
shit.
the lines for like had the start, the store, the social thing, but they changed the damn dashboard so many times that like it was
Yep.
the lines that were on the background picture didn't line up with the layout of the new
I had a Batman.
dashboard. So
I had a Batman one where it had the old dashboard with the things at the top and like they were
mhm,
outlined and everything. Then they updated it and it changed just a little bit. Like they were off center, but I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna
mhm.
keep it. And then they finally just were like, we're doing a whole new thing now. And so I was like, okay, fine. So I just chose like a custom image or something. So
Yeah,
no, but
I felt defeated. I just let it be default.
they have done a lot of things such that you can tell that they are going to upgrade because now they have these things called like cards, and they can tell you about achievements depending on how the developers use them because some games they do, some games they don't. But like
Right.
they have these little things called cards, and like they'll tell you how close you are to achievements or well trophies, and then like they can take you to like walkthrough tips and shit. It's actually done by the developers and stuff. So they're like, there's so many cool things they've put into it, but everything I'm hearing is like it's good, but even the quick features are like only taking one step away. Like instead of five, button clicks, it's four or something like that. So
Hmm.
I see as them actually actively upgrading this UI. With the PS4, they didn't. I mean, they did. They changed some stuff around as far as like menus, like where like they didn't actually change the menu part, but they changed like what was in the sub menus and like they changed a little bit of what the blades were, but it's been the same. Like here's your bar, and then here's a sub bar above it, kind of thing or whatever. But it works. Like I know where to go on it. I knew what to do. I'm glad Xbox changed theirs from day one because
The the
that was
the
weird.
current UI for Xbox is so good. Like that you can just customize everything. Like
Yes,
that's
and that
I
upgrade to
have.
the store was good.
Oh yeah, it was really janky at first, but now
Yes.
it's smooth. It's really good. The wish list is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's solid. I like it a lot. And this isn't even necessary, but it's very aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
Which is
Just like little
it kind of makes it
things
fun.
where like now I'll go into a menu and like when I highlight something, there's like a glow of green around it or something. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, that's new. What's that about? I
And
like that.
I don't think it auto plays the ad for the game every time you pick it in the store, which I
No,
hated that.
and
I
that's an
wanted that
option.
gone.
You can turn that on or off, but it's
Yeah,
default off, I think.
good.
So
It needs to be off. It was terrible.
I did
'Cause like
that with
so-
Netflix too. I turned off the
ah,
autoplay on Netflix.
is that an option? Like
Hmm.
because I don't think it was an option on the Xbox app for a while.
Oh, I don't
Like
know.
is
I
that
don't know if it's app specific. I did it on my
'cause I've
TV, and
heard.
I'm pretty sure I did on my Xbox too. Because I usually only watch on my TV since it's built in now. But yeah, you can turn that off on Netflix, and I was like, thank God.
Man, I keep having. I'm in the preview program. I'm about to back out of it because
Same. I
I
just did
keep
an
on getting
ambassador program
updates.
too.
I keep getting those updates, and like wife and I were watching season 4 of Rick and Morty on HBO, and it just we were like near the end of like the last episode, and it just cuts out for an update, and I pull it up on the app up on my phone and just cast it to the screen from that. I'm like, we're not
I
waiting for
love
this
being able to do
update.
that. I love being able to do that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, it was nice. I was
Shout out to
irritated.
Note phones. They're amazing.
They're so good. I mean, I just paid off my Note 8, and they're like, "You want to upgrade?" I'm like, "Hell no, this phone's great. I don't need to update yet.
I think I'm totally gonna go the what 20 now, the Note 20. Because I
It
have a
looks
9,
nice."
but no, that's something that I have come to grips with is the constant updates where my friends don't have updates. Like I'll just
Mm-hmm.
turn my system on, even though I have auto updates on. I'll just turn my system on and I'll be like, whoa, I have a, and it's always like the same size, like 248 megabytes or something random. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so it's still gonna take me like 10 minutes to do this shit. It's kind of annoying. Even though since I had 20 minutes of free time, now I gotta spend 10 doing this. But then again, like I I put the pros and cons of that against it, where I was just like, yeah, but there have been features I've got like 3 months in advance, or I'm like, hey,
That's
like
been the trade-off. Yeah.
yeah, like the customizing your blades, your little thing or whatever. I was doing that. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. And my friend was just like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, I'm switching out my blades. I'm putting the stuff I don't ever check on the right side, and so the stuff I want is faster and on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the store upgrade we got early. And I was
Yeah,
just
we
like,
did.
oh, I love the new store. And my friend was
Yeah,
just like, I haven't seen it
I was,
yet. And I'm like, oh, it's so good.
I was telling my wife all about it, and like I walk in to the other room and look at her Xbox, and I'm like, ah, peasant.
but
You
then
know?
but then you get those updates and you're like, I'm gonna back out. It's just bullshit. The thing crashes. But then like you get that
Yeah.
update and you're like, oh yeah, that's what,
The
1 hour of shit for like 3 months of awesomeness. So I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's irritating at the time. It only does it to me when I'm like I'll be playing Red Dead for like all night on some of my nights off, no interruptions.
Mhm.
But if I'm trying to marathon like some show, it the screen goes black. I think the Xbox died, and then it's like we're doing an update, and I'm like, well, shit.
Get up here, get up here. Okay, so talked about the launch and availability has been sparse to say at least. They're just not available,
Right.
and there's no talks. I'm still hopeful that there's going to be the next shipment coming through. There's no talks of any kind of manufacturing shortages, so there's no reason to think that they're not going to have. Um, I've already
So all
heard rumors of
these,
Xbox going to have a new shipment at least before the end of November.
I hope they do it soon, so that it just shuts down all these grifters that bought like 3 copies of each console early.
I have heard mass accounts of, and this happened yesterday, and I was a part of it because I did successfully get one of each system in my carts, and I've heard nothing about, um, or nothing but people complain about bots getting systems for people that have some kind of bot system where they can go through and sign up these systems, because you'll go on eBay and see someone that has like 5 of them, and
Mm-hmm.
they're rocking like, for both systems they're rocking 1500 plus. And so I'm just like, oh, okay, because like yesterday PlayStation did a thing where it was Walmart, um, which was surprisingly the most stable, which is usually not the case. They were like, okay, we're going to do noon, 3, 6, and 9, and every 3 hours I hopped on, got on there, got one in the cart, and before I could even get out of there, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were saying that their experience was, okay, they're going to be restocked at 3. Okay, boom, go on 3. The site's completely down. 301, the site comes back up and they're all gone. And so I was just like, oh, it's like a situation like in Clue or something, like where like the lights go off and then they come back on and someone's dead. And you're like, how the fuck did that just happen? Like, holy shit, that just happened.
and
Like,
then and
the cat's going crazy over here.
and some local guys like I'm selling Xbox Series X's for $1,000 and Series S's for 700. Don't buy those. Don't buy those from
No,
those people. Make them waste their money.
no,
Make them
because
waste their money.
what's going to be great about those systems is that they're going to eventually come back in stock fairly quickly, and then those people are going to be stuck spending $1,500 plus on their shit, and then have to sell them at cost because they're going to be available, which is what my hope
Yeah,
is. And Phil
and they
Spencer's been
paid
putting out
tax
that
with that too.
picture with a bunch of them out, so I'm hoping.
They paid tax with that too. So they're gonna sell them for maybe the retail value minus tax. Because no one's
Yeah,
gonna pay you plus sales tax difference, right?
no,
So worst case scenario, or well, like mild case scenario, I guess is they're out $70 per console.
which would be
Which is just
nice,
hilarious. Like it's just a good lesson.
which is kind of what they get, because like the last time I remember, um, it's probably the Wii. The last time that it was really hard to get one, and there was no fucking news. And this is like 2007, going into
Hmm.
2008. That there was absolutely no news or nothing about any information, and the shipments were sporadic, and no one knew what was happening. And that was the Wii. And I saw people selling those systems, and I even tried to get one for a couple $100 more than what they were actually going for. And luckily, my grandma found one But ever since then, I mean, this last gen, what would it be, Gen 8? Yeah,
Yeah,
Gen
Gen
8.
8.
I waited until January when I got a refund off my student loans, and I walked right into a GameStop and bought one in January of 2000. It would be 14. And
Yeah.
with Switch, I did stay in line for 14 hours because I learned my lesson with Wii, and I was like, well, Nintendo, I feel like you never know, because the Wii U I
Mhm.
didn't go actively look for, but I still found
Yeah.
one. Like my friend
It
was
was
like,
easy.
"Hey, I got one," and he actually bought me one because he wanted me to play it so bad. And so we went to Walmart and fucking just there it was on the shelf. Hey, we want this. Boom, got the Zombie U edition. But and with Switch, I was worried because I was like, "Oh, this is the real next system. I don't know if it's going to be another Wii situation." So me and my brother went and we waited for 14 hours and got one. And then like a week later, they're like, "Oh, we're restocked." Now, granted,
It's
they were
so
selling out. They were selling out everywhere, but your odds of going into a store and seeing one on a shelf were great, were a lot better than they were back in the day.
it's so hard to predict what's gonna go on with these too, because like I waited way longer to get my hands on the Elite Series 2 controller
Hmm.
than I did to get the Xbox X, like
Hmm.
the Xbox One X. I'm sorry. I got the Xbox One X whenever I wanted it. Like there was no wait.
Nope, I didn't wait
I
at
was
all.
just like it was, and for it to be the most powerful machine on the market, but without having a PC, I was really amazed that it was so easy to get.
Well, that's what
Uh,
I'm hoping, like I was telling you earlier, that I hope that like we're eating crow here in like a week or so, where people are worried about, outages and shortages. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Neither Sony or Microsoft have mentioned anything about any kind of shortages, manufacturing errors, or anything, even with COVID coming in and fucking them up. There was a brief moment where Sony was like, but then after that, every time they've been asked, they're like, we predict absolutely no problem with our manufacturing process. We've talked to our manufacturers. There's no problem with them. We're moving along as we want. So I'm hoping that those guys, eat their shit when they fucking have to eat those systems and the cost of them, and they're forced to sell them at cost, or hopefully give them away to someone who needs them.
or at a loss, like at an absolute loss. Like I can't get rid of
Yes,
this. Buy it for $300.
like go give
Gets
it to a children's
$500.
hospital, asshole.
Yeah.
That's what I would want them to do, but
Dwayne Johnson is giving out like 10 per children's hospital in the country,
and they're branded. Have you seen
Yeah,
them?
and they're they're
They
cool
got
as hell
they
looking,
got
man.
they got the Brahma bowl on, like, well, I say it,
Yeah.
this is the right screen right of the fucking Xbox. So they got a
Mm.
little Brahma bowl on it, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, man, those are fucking cool.
But
I'm jealous.
if you remember, he was on stage with Bill Gates at the OG Xbox release.
Yes,
So
he was.
I was just like,
He
wait a minute.
doesn't even look like the same man either. He looks so different. It's insane.
It's weird how that dude looks better.
Yeah.
That was like 20 years ago, almost 20.
Yeah.
What was it, 19 years ago, 2001, right? And
He's like in his he's like probably in his 50s now.
has to be, has to be.
I'm not even 30 and I'm like about halfway dead. Like it's
He
it's
has to be.
unreal.
God, the dude, and I think he was the most. I think we reported that he was the highest paid actor last year too, which I'm not
Wow.
surprised at all. He did like 14 movies last year, but no, I don't see any problem with with them being in stock. I think we just need to, wait a little bit, because
Yeah, just be
it's not even
patient.
been a week yet. Like if
Yeah, it's just
I see if we get to December, if like we get like the first week of December and there's been no shipments and neither company is talking, they're not talking to any outlet or something,
mhm.
then I'd be like, oh shit, maybe I should have spent 1,500 bucks, because now we don't know. But
Nah, just be patient. You couldn't get one till March and it'd still be worth waiting. Cuz what's going to be out by then? Right?
the only problem I see are parents who want to get it for kids by Christmas. That's the only
Right.
crunch time, because I honestly can wait, because
Right.
and that's actually one of my points I wanted to talk about, was that I talked about it kind of the last podcast, is that I don't have any kids and I don't need it by Christmas. It could come out December 26th. I'd be totally fine. But I like you were saying earlier, I don't see any incentive to buy either system at this point, because the only game I know of is what, Demon Souls is the only one that's directly PS5 only.
Godfall is as well, but I mean,
Godfall is, yeah.
yeah.
And honestly, Demon Souls is not even,
Yeah.
it's not even like a new IP. It's a
You
remake.
play that. You play that on your PS3 if you want to blow some dust off it.
Exactly. So I was
Make it
just
work,
like,
man.
fuck. And that was kind of the sneaky thing that pissed me off. I talked about last podcast was that um, they come out and they're like Miles Morales, and I can't remember the other game,
Yeah,
but they were talking about these and they're like, we believe in generations and shit. And then like right after the presentation, they post online that these games are also going to be on PS4.
I was really shocked that Miles Morales was going to be on PS4. I thought that was going to be a console seller.
Me too. And it was
I
for me.
like.
It was for me. That was the reason where I was like, I could possibly hold off on an Xbox because I'm still rocking an Xbox day one. So I was
Mhm.
like, I could still hold off. I could still play, and this was back when Halo was still coming out. I could still technically play Halo and get the story on
Right.
launch day, and I get it free with Game Pass, so I don't have to buy the fucking
Right.
game. But Miles Morales was the one where I was like, okay, that's the one I want to play on the next system because I wanted the story and all this shit. And it's still gonna look good on my PS4 Slim. So I was like, I want to play it. But then when they're like, oh, it's on PS4, I was like, well, why
Spe-
again am I doing this?
Speaking of Game Pass, right now, and I don't know how long it's going for, but they've brought back the thing where like you can upgrade from just gold to Game Pass Ultimate for $1, and it'll
Okay.
just transfer all your time. I'm thinking it's probably a promotional thing for the new consoles launching.
Hmm.
You can have up to
The 3 years
36
still?
months. Yeah, it's up to 3 years. So the smartest thing to do if you haven't done it yet, and I'm tinkering with the idea of it, is to max. Cause I've got 10 months remaining on mine right now. If I max it out to 36 and then just pay that dollar, like I'm
Just
not really
converts
all
it
that
all.
excited about Game Pass because like I have a lot of games like owned in my library
Hmm.
already.
But if you're gonna pay for
But
live anyway
if I'm gonna pay for live anyways,
and
and it's
pay
just $1 to
$1,
do the upgrade for 3 years, I don't have to worry about that extra charge for 3 years. And then if I don't want to do it, I just don't do it.
yeah,
I might just bite the bullet and do it at least while there's
yeah.
promotion, because this promotion's been gone for a while. Like it was a thing when
Mm,
Game Pass first became a thing, and then it was just
yeah. It
not
wasn't.
offered again.
It wasn't. Well, wait, no, it was last year.
Was it last year?
It was last summer.
I
It
have
was
no.
because
I
it
work
was
third shift. I have no concept of time.
well. The only reason I remember is because I still didn't have a couch yet in my apartment, and I moved in my apartment in June, and I still didn't have a couch, and I was sitting on a chair, and I did that. I bought. I had like 7 months left, and I bought a year of gold for the 60, but I bought off CD
Mhm.
keys for like 45 or something, and then I paid the extra dollar, and it converted it all. So I actually have December my Game Pass Ultimate's up, so I'm probably gonna be looking at this too. Um, but I think it was last summer because it was an E3 deal.
Mhm.
Because I think it was like, hey, during E3, because it was like, hey, we're launching Game Pass Ultimate, and you can get Ultimate for just $1, and we'll convert, up to 3 years or whatever. So that deal is insanely worth it. The only problem is, I don't know where you can buy Game Pass Gold for a year, because didn't they take that off the store?
Yeah, I can't find it. You gotta find it like from a card key place, like
And that makes me
CD
worried.
keys or
I love
Rays. Yeah,
now. I will promote cdkeys.com because like it looks a little weird, and
yeah.
sometimes it takes you like 10 minutes to get your fucking email, but it's
I've
worked
never had an
100% of the
issue.
time. It works 100% of the time.
There's 3 sites that people have reported sketchy things from, but I've never had an issue. CD keys, I've always gotten Xbox Live from. I've never
Hmm.
had an issue.
I got my PS Plus from there.
Newegg, I ordered a disc copy of like Assassin's Creed Revelations. It came. It worked as promised. I think
Yeah,
I also
Neweg's
got one
pretty
of the
legit.
Far Cry games. Yeah, Newegg is good, but I've heard people complain. Um, and Raise.com, Raise. You
Okay.
can buy PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox. I think there's Steam gift cards. You load them up in your shopping cart, and you can buy like if you type Xbox gift cards, it'll give you like a long list of different priced ones, and usually the more expensive ones have a bigger discount on them. You can
Yeah.
only buy one from each item, but like if there's like 5 different people selling a $60 card, you can buy 5 different $60 cards in one go.
Oh.
Um, and I always at least get 5 to 7% off. So like if I'm buying any games off Xbox, I'll go to Raise, I'll buy those. How they do it seems sketchy. I won't lie to you. So you buy the cards, and it'll send you like a confirmation email,
Hmm.
right? And then you got to wait a minute and I think they're checking to make sure your card goes through and everything's approved, and you're not going to like tell the bank it's fraud or something. And then you just keep refreshing your profile on the page, and it will update and say, click here for your code, your download, your like, your 25-digit code you plug into Microsoft.
Yeah.
Copy, paste them. It's worked every time. I've spent a stupid amount of money. Like
Huh.
all the games I've bought in the last 2 years, I bought with money from Raise. And then of course, like I'll go to like Bing or Microsoft Rewards or whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah.
And I'll take from the stuff I've bought before, apply points to get credit on my account,
Hmm.
apply the gift cards, buy whatever I'm buying, and I saved a stupid amount of money. Even if I'm buying a game for full price, I'm saving a decent chunk of money. And I
Yeah.
always do it with a credit card, just because I don't trust any of these sites 100%. I
To have your
don't.
bank. To have your bank
Yeah,
info.
yeah, not my bank. I have a credit card through this one's through Capital One.
That's who I
You
have.
know, so I can call it fraud, and it's not going to have my routing number or something.
No, it's not going to affect your direct deposit or anything from your check.
Right.
Like that
Right.
money's
Yeah.
still coming in no matter what.
That money's not real yet, so it's
No.
who cares.
Nope.
But so if you do feel sketchy, but like about this, use a credit card. Your mileage may vary, but I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I've never had a faulty code, because the nervous thing is you take that code, that 25 character code, you copy paste it, and it's
Yeah.
already used or
Yes.
something. Never had that happen.
There's a moment where your butthole gets about this big,
Yeah,
and then it's like, hey, are you redeeming this? And you're like, yes, I am.
oh yeah, yeah. Everything unclenches again.
Yes.
But it's all worked. I've bought Nintendo codes. I bought Xbox codes. I haven't bought PlayStation codes because I don't have a PlayStation yet, but
Yeah.
I will, and that's where I'll get the games through. I'll get them through Raise.
Well, shit.
RAISD.
If I can get on there, do you know how long that's going on through the dollar upgrade?
No, I haven't seen. I've seen it on my dashboard.
Oh, okay. Okay. Huh. I wonder if I can, because I haven't heard it. I heard something about it, but it wasn't from like a reliable source, so I didn't think anything of it. But
Like for all I know, it could just be the week of launch. Like I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look, or someone would have to look. Because I'm not seeing a good announcement on it. I just see it advertised, "Hey, upgrade for $1," and I'm like, "What?"
I mean, it's insanely. Oh, okay. This is the actual Xbox site. Upgrade
I
now
mean,
for
it's
$1. Subscription continues. Blah blah blah. I'm trying to see. Here's what you get. Here's what you get. Blah blah blah. I know I'm doing this live, but it might as well. I don't see any in the fine print yet of like dates like good until or offer valid until yet.
offer expires, etc.
Yeah.
You get Disney Plus for 30 days, and you get EA access, and
Yeah. Maximum 36 months redeemed. Blah blah blah.
get
Here's the
you get a free
websites.
Tuggy on the 27th.
That'd be
Just
great.
yeah.
Discount offers exclude titles. Yeah, I don't see anything on their site, but I'm not surprised.
I think it'd be cool if they made that like just like a permanent, like for like the first time you do that, if they just made that like a permanent thing, that because I know that I'm not the only person, like it's a fringe group, but there's a lot of people like, hey, I don't buy a lot of games each year. It doesn't really appeal to me.
Mhm.
This little offer would flip a lot of people's opinions that are
Oh
on the
yeah.
fence about it, because it's about to flip mine. I mean,
I've been trying to get you on the train for that for a minute.
yeah.
I'm just like, it's just
I buy so many games on, and like I tell you, I buy them on those big sales when they do them like on the holiday thing, and I buy all these Raise cards. I never pay full price for a game, and so like it's not really been an issue for me. It's just that it's so available now, and I can easily afford another 2 years of Xbox Gold. I won't notice it. That like in 3 years from now, I won't even have remembered
yeah.
paying the extra dollar, right?
No, not at all. And plus, like I said, you just all the things you're gonna get, because when you think about it, I mean, I can't find anything that says when it's gonna
Because
end. But
honestly, I don't plan on buying Gears Tactics or Halo Infinite, but like if I can get them for free and try them out, I'll probably give those a spin.
well,
Shit, why not?
I think that's what is the I can't find anywhere. I think that's what is the thing that Microsoft hoped would happen, and the thing that they sell, like third party people that put their games on Game Pass, is you know, how many people are going to play your game that wouldn't have before and fall in love with your franchise, fall in love with your series, fall in love with your game making, shit like that. I can't count on my hands how many games I played where I was like, I would never even fucking touch this game. Like I would have
Yeah.
looked at it somewhere and been like, that's cool for someone. I don't know anything about it. It's a developer I don't know, but it's fucking free. I pop it on. I'm like, holy shit, I'm kind of having fun in this. This is great. And I can play it day one, especially if it's a Xbox game, like a first party game, play it day
Hmm.
one. And I'm just like, well, fuck, this is kind of nice actually. And I think that's where they're hoping, like with Gears Tactics. Yeah, I was not going to buy that game, but I
Yeah.
can play it right now if I want. So it's like, maybe I will try it out and try,
Is it on
maybe
the one or is it still on PC and just series right
it's on the
now?
one.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Cause they were talking about how they, got the controls worked out so they can work on with a controller and everything like that. That was their big launch day 5-hour stream that they did that I would briefly pop into because that's just way too long.
Imagine if they still supported smart glass, what they could be doing with that right now.
Well, I
That would have
remember
been
didn't
so.
they show that Minecraft preview where like you could like look underneath the mine and like see underneath
Hmm.
and everything like that because they had that table at E3.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, I wish Microsoft would stick to some of their things that they push in the beginning. Like it doesn't go over well, or maybe it doesn't exceed the competitor's version of it at first, and so they just back out.
yeah,
But like
Gears
smart glass would have
Tactics
been so
came out in the
cool.
10th. I would have been.
Nice.
I mean, I was down for Google Glass when I first started seeing them back in like 2014 or something. I was like, I could kind of
Hmm.
get into that. You know, if it
Yeah.
helps me out, makes things a little easier. People are like, it looks goofy. I'm like, you know what? And this is my firm stance with especially with consoles. I yes, the PS5 is big and the Xbox Ones or Xbox Series X is a refrigerator. I couldn't give a shit less what it looks like.
No.
The
No,
only
I'm not.
the only design I've cared about is the Switch, and that's because I'm holding it constantly. I'm physically
Right.
holding the system, so like I give a shit about that. I didn't care about the VCR for the Xbox. I didn't care about the stair steps for the PS4. I don't care because all I'm going to care about is what I feel in my hands, like with the controller, what I
Hmm.
hear with like with PlayStation with the 3D audio, and what I actually see on my screen. As once I'm in that zone, I'm playing a game and like I have the feel, I can see stuff, I can hear stuff. I'm not gonna notice that fucking system. I'm not gonna notice it.
So with what we're feeling, so with controls, I think that's an important thing to bring up with the new consoles too, right?
Yes.
Like that's always the thing. Like I think that this coming gen is like probably arguably the first gen where honestly it's really hard to justify skipping either console, PlayStation or Xbox. I think before you could pick one or the other and reasonably get a pretty good grasp on the gaming culture as a whole if
Hmm.
you only got one. But I think that there's enough of a divide at this point to where both are because now both can pull from the previous gens
Yeah.
and they can't cross pull, right?
Yeah.
And the controllers are so different. Like Xbox is just basically pulling through with what they did last gen, which worked. It was great. I love the Xbox controller.
I guess they
Using the
only
controllers you already
changed
had.
I guess they only changed the ergonomics a little bit. Like they
Mhm.
widened the bottom out and then shrunk in the top a little bit. I think that's about pretty much it.
And they added that little
Share
media
button.
button in the center,
Hmm.
and I think they did something with the D-pad that they
Yeah,
already did with the Elite controller. I think.
it's the Elite D-pad, like the one that comes. Well, I mean, the Elite D-pad's whatever you want, but
Yeah,
this is like the I guess the one that comes on it when you pop it out of the box, like the looks like a disc almost kind of.
but let's be honest. People that are buying the Series X that already have like the Elite Series 2, we're not even gonna look at the Series X controller.
Hmm.
Like the Elite Series 2 is just so good.
Yeah.
I'm back in round two. I'm talking about this controller. It's still good. It's held up. I love
Yes.
it. I was so hyped. I was I was sad when I heard the new consoles were coming out so soon because I'm like, man, my Elite Series 2 is just gonna go out the window. I can't use it no more. And I'm like, oh no, you can still use it. I was excited.
Yes.
I'm like, oh god,
That's
that's so good.
such a weird thing that you can go forwards and backwards with the hardware.
Yeah.
Where I
Well,
was like, oh, okay, that's
that's
kind of cool.
well, last gen you couldn't do firmware updates for your controllers, right? Like that's
Mm,
why 360 controllers didn't work on the one. But you get a new controller, you gotta plug it into the console. It does a firmware update on your
good to go.
controller. It's crazy.
Well,
It's
I
crazy.
think the only difference now is this that I mean, I'm glad you get one out of the box. That's nice and everything, but I am glad that they finally switched over. I think I saw this on the PS5 controller, but I am glad for Xbox that they're finally on the USB-C. So
Hmm.
that they're on that realm or whatever, since everything's USB-C now. That's not Apple. And I think the PS5. I'm pretty sure I saw a USB-C. I'm pretty sure I saw the oval on the controller when I saw it unboxed the other day.
I think the Elite Series 2 and all of the Bluetooth, like the newer model controllers for the Xbox One, I think they are on USB-C as well.
I mean, mine's
Um,
not. Mine's
is,
mine's a Bluetooth with
is it
the
with the
headphone
jack?
jack, and
Yeah.
it's still micro. Look at this stupid micro USB shit.
Oh shit.
And
Jesus
then,
Christ.
well, then, I mean, same
Basically
thing with
Amish at
my
that point.
PS4. Yeah. And then here comes
Yeah.
Nintendo, and they're like, we're with the future, dudes. This is like
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Nintendo knows. Yeah. Let's see. Where is my my
Is the
my
Elite 2
Elite?
USB-C?
Well, I'm gonna go check. It's on my charging stand now.
There you go.
Let's see.
Oh, because you could just, yeah.
So let's see. I just unplugged my phone, which is USB-C, obviously.
You can tell because it's just
Yeah.
like a circle. Nice. Good, good, good. I'm happy about that. So,
Yeah.
but even now, their base level controllers will have USB-C. So it's like, oh, thank God. So
See, and then like
I have so many. The
the only
charger?
downside, yeah, the only downside about the Elite Series 2 is you can't pop that battery out. It's just
Yeah.
no seams there. It just goes on the magnetic stand, and mine's all dusty. But don't look at it.
Which some people see that they're like, oh, it's a plus because because like the PS5 and 4 even and 3 even they're like, oh yeah, it's just built in. You don't have to worry about batteries. I was like, I always saw that as a plus because I've had a rechargeable battery pack in this Xbox One controller almost since the day I got it back in 2014, and this
Hmm.
fucker will last me days still.
Oh
And
yeah,
but if it ever goes bad or something
it's
happens and the
dead.
battery's ruined, I can pop the controller out or pop the battery out and just pop in some double A's or buy a new recharge kit. If my DualShock 4, which I've heard shit with it drifting,
Hmm.
if this controller goes bad, it's an all-in-one inclusive unit. It's gone. I gotta chuck it or get it repaired somewhere.
Well, and that's the thing with those anything lithium ion. If you leave your PC plugged in and it's at 100%, the lithium ion battery is going to get weakened over time. It's not
Yep.
going to like hold charge as long. Like once those things, they have a finite source. They're not. So if you can't replace the battery, it's just a you know $200 paperweight.
You're just done with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as controllers go, though, that the PS5 one, I think I talked about it last podcast, but it has the haptic feedback, and what people are confusing that with is that the Xbox One has had haptic feedback since its
Hmm.
inception. What people are talking about is what they're coining adaptive triggers, is where you actually get the pushback or tension, like when you're
Hmm.
pulling a bow and arrow or shooting a gun. And apparently, I was going to bitch about like, well, if you don't have developers designing their games around these features, they mean nothing. Like I haven't used the 6-axis on my PS4 controllers since I've got it. Like no game I've
That's
actually used it like that. But apparently, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, they said they went in for the PS5 controller, and every gun has different tension.
that's the thing though. Is that something people are actually asking for? I'm out of the loop, but when they did the trigger thing, it definitely just seemed more like a gimmick when the Xbox One was coming out for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. I've never heard of that before.
Hmm.
But we have heard of that before. The N64 had it. It was called a Rumble
Rumble
Pack.
Pack, yeah,
Right.
that's exactly what it is.
And so, I got my hands on it. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And I was still enamored with the newness of it. But like anymore, I don't even notice it. I
Nope,
mean,
not
I
at
don't
all.
care. Is it, maybe it's partially because not enough developers supported it, like you said.
Exactly.
But I think there's things that I'm more worried about. I'm more worried about, does my console run okay? Is it not going to overheat? Does it have sufficient storage for me to use? Is it going to run things at the right speeds and not sacrifice graphical fidelity?
Yeah,
How good does it stay connected to the internet? These type of things I think are definitely
yeah,
top. And then like, does your trigger vibrate when you shoot a gun versus pull a bow? Like,
yeah. I mean,
I don't
apparently
care.
you get a pack in a game called Astro's. Is it Playhouse?
I
Or
did hear
Astro's
about
Playhouse
that.
was
I watched a
four.
little bit. And it's
Is
just
that
like a tech demo.
it's Astro something, and you got it when you got
Playhouse.
when you got the camera, you got it for PS4 because I had a PS4 like a little bit after it launched. Ended up selling it because it just collected dust for me personally, but because I had all the other systems, but um, it's pretty much an extended tech demo, but it's actually a full game, which is good because people are actually reviewing it. But that shows off the tech very well, which is great. The tension I could see being a cool thing, like with Call of Duty actually embracing it, like each gun's going to feel different. But
Mhm.
if you don't care about the realism and you just want to shoot as fast as possible, you probably don't want the trigger pushing
Yeah,
back
you're
on your
just gonna turn it
finger.
off. You're gonna turn it
You're gonna
off.
turn that stuff off or whatever. So I do want to experience it, and with the 6-axis stuff and the HD Rumble, which the Switch has and the Joy Cons is HD Rumble. I have heard playing Miles Morales, just even in like cutscenes where there's vibration or there's a opening scene where he's on the subway. They're like you can actually feel because like the controller kind of turns or something like when the train turns because like the way the HD Rumble works. And I was like, well, that's really cool. It just makes it more immersive and everything. But
Mhm.
these are things I always, and I'm going to be pessimistic on this front, where I always, at the beginning of a console's life cycle, when they stop this stuff, like they have the feedback for Xbox or the adaptive triggers for PlayStation, or even the touchpad that PlayStation is still pushing forward that I've never used on a game.
Yeah,
These are
it
all
seems like a
features.
lost.
It is, and I'm just like, okay, what people need to understand is that these are all great buzzwords, hype things, and all that kind of stuff or whatever. But like I said earlier, if there are no third-party developers actively putting these features in games that aren't first party, because you're definitely going to see the next whatever Insomniac does, whatever any of their first-party studios do, they're going to be like, hey, can you just put in like where a
Oh
guy
yeah.
has a treasure map and he has to rub it off and they rub the touch screen, or like Call of Duty have the features because it's a
Yeah.
new thing to sell their higher price version of the game. They're going to be like, well, if you buy this version of the game, you're going to have these triggers.
I remember they were selling the Kinect for Xbox One, and it was like Dead Rising 3 was the one that came out with the console,
Hmm.
and they were selling it with you could be like, hey, and it would distract the zombies, and it
I
like
remember
changed
that, yeah.
way in
But
like no
remember,
significant way.
Connect fucking came with it. You had to buy
You had
it.
to buy it.
I
Yeah,
do.
I loved Kinect. I was so mad they did. That was another thing. Like
Yep.
Kinect could have been so cool, and they just stopped. Cause like I would walk in my home, from work, be like Xbox on, my TV would turn on.
Hmm.
I was like living in like a fucking Star Trek ship.
Yep.
If they just would have supported it for the people that wanted it, I would have stayed with it.
That's how I feel about the
Uh,
Vita with PlayStation. I still feel the same way about Connect, but I also feel that way about Vita. I love Vita, but it got tanked. I don't know why they
mhm.
didn't support it, but luckily I do the same thing with when it works because it actively disconnects all the fucking time from my Google Home app. But when Xbox is connected, I can do the same things with my Google Home, and I know you can with Alexa too. You can control your Xbox with it, like turn on,
That's
turn
cool.
off, which is nice. But it's in my bedroom. If I had a mini one in the living room and I could do it, I know I can control my Roku TV with my Google Home too, and that works way better. So you can technically, and that's where they were saying like the same thing they did with Mixer. They're like, well, we're seeing other people are doing like Alexa and Google Home own that market, so we're not trying to fight them with the Connect. And then
Makes
with
sense.
Mixer, they're like, well, Twitch is Twitch, so we're not gonna. That's too much money for us, so we're gonna back out of that too, because other people are doing it better, and we can do something we do better, which is, I guess, backwards compatibility.
So that brings me to the question, and I'm not trying to railroad you.
Oh,
So Xbox doesn't want to compete with people that are doing things good already, right?
hmm.
Do you think we're going to see VR on the Xbox this gen?
Everything I saw Phil Spencer say is that they'll look into it when they look into it, but they're not actively looking into it.
See, that's what I was curious about because like that seems like such a cool untapped piece of the gaming market that I
Mhm.
think should be a bigger deal than it currently is.
But going on that same uh, thought process of other people doing it better, they are owned by Microsoft, who does run, you know, they run Oculuses on their system, and the
Mhm.
Xbox runs the same architect as Windows, so or has the same architecture as Windows. So I was really hoping with this system they're going to say like, hey, by the way, we're supporting VR on games that's available. You'll get a free VR download for the VR functions for like Squadrons,
Mhm.
Resident Evil 7 because we're backwards compatible, for the new Resident Evil 8 coming up. Um, and you can just connect your Oculus Rift 2 or your Oculus, whatever the 2 is that just came out, that's like completely wireless. I
Mhm.
still kind of hope they announce that. But they're gonna
That'd be
say, hey,
cool.
guess what? We're not doing like PSVR is, where it's like we're making the tech, we're selling the tech, we're putting money into the tech. We're just gonna let you use the tech on our shit. So like we're not losing money if we don't sell you the VR version of this game, like Skyrim
Mhm.
VR or Batman VR or Doom VR, where they made specific versions of that game for that tech, which is proprietary to that system. They're like, fuck it, if you want to play it on your PC, play on your PC. If you have Game Pass, come over to your Xbox Series
Mm.
X and download the free upgrade and play it on your Series X and use your Oculus 2 on that. So I was hoping that's what
They're
they would
this
do.
close. They're
It's
this close to just having a perfect, like they've got it all in one. It's this close.
it's just right there and everything. But on the same note, since I've tried to, even with this podcast, I am using a laptop for finally, I guess, or begrudgingly. I was trying to do everything with streaming and podcasting and all that shit with just my phone, um, with no laptop. Even video editing, stuff like that. And sometimes you have to break down and use your laptop. But I was really hoping that with VR, I still want a PlayStation VR. I still kind of want to play those games really bad. I still want to experience,
Oh yeah.
Resident Evil, that new Iron Man VR. I really want to play it. So that's where I was like, Xbox, just get on board too with this if you have all this stuff available, because I really wouldn't mind plunging the money down on a third party item that I could play
This
elsewhere.
this is my other thing with backwards compatibility. I think I heard something, and feel free to fact check me. PS4 VR is not going to be supported on the PS5.
It
That's not
is.
going to be retroactive. Is it?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
It is. But here's the caveat: there's an adapter, because you
That's
cannot
what it was.
play.
Yeah.
You need an adapter for the camera. You have to have the PS4 camera. You can't use the PS5 camera for VR on the PS5, and you have to have the PS4 version of said game. So if they do make a PS5 version or a remaster or whatever, you can't buy that one. You got to buy the OG PS4 version to play the VR section of that, and have the adapter and have. But if you already have it on um, your PlayStation 4, the adapter's free. And
Mhm.
I gave the website out last podcast,
Okay,
but
it was you that talked about it then. I just
yeah,
misremembered.
it
Uh,
was. There's a website you go to, and then there's a converter box that you actually have, that plugs into your system. And if you put
mhm.
the serial number in for that converter box, it verifies that you have a VR, and they'll send you the adapter for free. But the reports were
So,
that it wasn't going to start shipping until the middle of November. But some people have been getting their adapters in the mail early. So,
so if you have the PS5 version of an originally PS4 VR game, you
mhm,
can't use the PS4 camera for it, but there's no PS5 camera yet. So
there is a PS5 camera.
is there? But is it
Yeah.
VR? Is it
No,
VR?
no. So I'm not sure if you're using it just for streaming. It's like white and it looks a little different or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you just use it for streaming. Kind of what I use the PS4 camera for, is just streaming on Twitch, or maybe something else, because you don't need that for motion access or Astro's Playhouse or anything anymore. Because originally you needed Astro's, to play the shit, because you had this fun little bar, this light bar. The light bar's gone
Mm-hmm.
for PS5. So they just do everything internally now because the controller's that advanced. So you don't need the camera for that.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited to see what they're gonna do, 'cause I think they are gonna bring some more VR stuff. I'm hopefully it's gonna be more in depth. I don't know how they do it because I didn't get to experience PS4 VR,
I played
but
it.
I've heard good
I
things.
played it 3 times, and the last time I played it was Drunken Bar Fight. It was super fun, and it felt VR. I mean, apparently the PC people who are laughing because of Oculus and HTC Vive and all that stuff is so much better. But that's kind of what you get when you look at PC versus console stuff. It's just,
I
it's
mean, yeah,
whatever. So
we'll get there. We'll get
yeah,
there. It's
I,
not
I I had a blast, and I still want to buy it. The only problem is
expensive.
it's still as much as buying, the PS4 itself. So if you want to get everything that comes with it plus a game, so it's like fuck. I,
Brutal.
I saw a bundle for it Um, they're like, oh, they get this big VR bundle for like $410, and I was like, what?
$790 to get a PS5.
Exactly. So I was sitting
Or
there
don't even
thinking
do
to
that. Just buy the
myself,
digital one. Buy the digital one. You already got it.
if I'm just going digital and I don't even have a 4K TV, I'm getting the $400 PS5 and the $300 Xbox Series S.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely,
$700, and I'm in next gen. I just can't put any
for
discs
sure.
in my system. So
I'm doing the 900 option. Definitely
yeah.
got it. Series X is gonna be my main console, right? I've got the huge library. Microsoft's got the ecosystem nailed down. They're gonna have the strongest console. I think the Series X, in my opinion, is a must-have.
Hmm.
Whatever else you get is up to you. I don't really for casual gamers and maybe for kids. Like if you're buying for a kid that's not gonna appreciate the nuance of because like, I barely appreciate the nuance of 60 frames per second,
Yeah.
8K or whatever, right? Like
Yep.
those are just numbers to me. I'm a caveman. But definitely, as a kid, the N64 was fucking top gen.
Oh yeah.
So kids don't care.
Yeah.
They know what looks good and what doesn't look good, but they're not gonna check the pixel count. They're not gonna check the frames per second.
That's something
Series
where
S will be
like
fine.
gameplay wins over graphics. And
Yes,
I've always been a believer in
absolutely.
that. But when you're talking 60 to 100 frames a second, and I'm playing something like Doom Eternal, that's
Hmm.
when something does actually affect the gameplay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. If you're
I'm
playing a
like,
first-person shooter or a fighting game, those are the two immediately.
where I'm like, oh, the frame rate's
Twitch
what?
movements, Twitch movements are important. Snap input delay, that's important. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. But
I'm,
going on that the idea of like the digital versus because there was some caveats to this that confused me, and my brother actually pointed out that Valhalla falls under the same guidelines. Is that with PS5 and Spider-Man getting the digital versus disc version of systems, because if you guys don't know, Series S is discless, just like the digital version of PS5. Um,
right.
so you cannot put in any obviously discs or anything like that. So if you're buying Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and you say you have a PS4 and you're like, I want to play it now. I just need to know the story because the game's only average about 8 hours long.
Right.
So if you just want to know the story, kind of like what I do, it's only $50. You're like, maybe I want to jump in, but I'm gonna get a PS5, but obviously they're not available. So you want to um, get that upgrade. Sony's been weirder about their upgrades, game boost, PS5 versions. They've been really kind of mixed messages on that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Whereas you have smart delivery, where I just expect every single game that comes out has an Xbox One version, an Xbox One X version, and an Xbox Series S X version. And if I just buy the game, I get all those versions. It just depends on what system I play. That's
Yeah,
been
that's
that's been the base level of what I understand with Xbox. With PlayStation, now granted, the reason I'm picking this out is because this is a first party game, and it's arguably the most popular game that's going to be sold with all PS5s. If you have a PS4 and you're going to get a PS5, they do offer a free PS5 upgrade, which doesn't mean it's going to be optimized for PS5 or whatever. Like it's going to upgrade it to the full PS5 version. Um, Here's the thing, and this works with Valhalla too, with Xbox. If you buy it digitally and then get a PS5, you're good no matter what system you get, whether it's the disc or discless version, because your digital copy will automatically give you an upgrade option for the PS5 version when you get your PS5. If you buy it physically, you have to buy the disc version of PS5 to get that upgrade to PS5 version. Because what happens is your PS4 disc for Miles Morales essentially turns into your access key for the PS5 version on PS5. So if you have a discless version, obviously you can't put the disc in, so it can't verify and then give you the upgrade. as it can with the digital version. So tread lightly. If you're looking to get the digital only version of PS5, you're like, fuck it, going all digital, don't care. But make sure you buy the digital version of Miles Morales if you want that free upgrade. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get it. And same thing with
That's
Valhalla too. But Valhalla is a little more self-explanatory because like if you're going to get it digitally and you get the next system, you're going to get that. And if you buy the Series S, but the difference though is that the Series S is a lesser console, so I feel like it's a less chance of people like being pissed they're not going to get because you technically
right.
because with the Series S you're technically not getting the full next gen version anyway because you're getting 4K upscale, but it's going to support 1440p mode. So it's not even like you're really with the Series S getting the full next, 4K 60 all that shit version anyway.
It's like the great
So
value Xbox Series X. Like when you say, Mom, I want to get a Series X. Like, we got Series X at home, and that's the Series X at home is a Series S.
yes, it looks
Not
yeah, they're
it's not
both
as good.
white. You're like, God damn, this sucks. But yeah, I did want to point that out because I had to look through like 3 websites because it confused me. Because like
That is confusing.
the PS5 and PS5 digital are the same system, just one doesn't have a drive. So like I don't see the same problem as like the Xbox Series S and Series X because they're not the exact same system.
Yeah, like you're not expecting, the ease and functionality of the
Yeah,
Series X and the Series because you're paying almost half the amount,
yeah. So it's
right?
a little different, but oh yeah,
Right.
you're paying like almost 300
Yeah,
versus 500. So
yeah,
um
yeah.
that was something I wanted to point out. So because I know you're going to get Miles Morales, I'm going to get it. So
Oh, yeah.
just so
I'm
you
excited.
know,
I'm gonna get that.
fuck them. I just want you to know this information, Zach. That's all I care
Right.
about.
Yeah. No, it's really exciting though, 'cause, I remember reading, and correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Miles Morales, if you get like the digital deluxe granddaddy
If you
badass version, a digital version, you'll get Miles Morales for your
PS4 and
PS5,
PS5. Yeah.
and you also get the remastered Spider-Man, like with Spider-Man version 1.0, Peter Parker,
Yes.
that game for the PS5.
Yes. Yeah, you do.
So, and that's the only way to get it, right, for the
Well,
PS5 right
now
now.
there is I can't remember where I read it, but I did read that you can still get for $20 the remastered on PS5. But I haven't confirmed it, but I did read that someone's like that one site said that you can still, if you get the PS5 version, the standalone, not the max version, that you
Mhm.
could still have the option to buy the remastered Spider-Man 1 for $20, which still puts you at that $70 mark.
Right. Well, I mean, in a few months or so, it's going to be available to purchase a la carte for sure.
Yes,
Like, I
yeah.
mean,
And it might already
don't.
be.
I'm not affiliated with Sony or Marvel or Disney or whoever the fuck, but so don't take my word for verbatim. But like, it's going to be available.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And like I said, I think it already is. I think some people that bought the standalone PS5 version didn't get the ultimate version, so they could still go in the store and buy the $20 standalone. But
Right.
I think you have to buy the PS5 version in order to get access to buy it. Like it's something like it's in the game, like you buy it from inside the game.
Oh,
So it's one of those where it's just like, well, why not just pay the
I don't like
$70
that.
and get the ultimate? Yeah. So I haven't confirmed it, and I can't find anywhere that has ultimate confirmed it. But if someone out there has a PS5 and they have all this stuff and they will let me know, get on Facebook, Instagram,
And they're
Twitter, Anchor, something, and just let me know so I can confirm it
man,
because I don't know
pre-
anyone with a PS5 yet.
pretty cool folks doing that. I get a PS5. I'm not listening to any fucking podcasts in my free time.
Game,
I'm
game.
I'm gaming on it.
These are for the
So
people who don't have the systems yet, so which kind of sucks or whatever. But
yeah.
no, another thing I want to talk about the launch was the Xbox smoking briefly because it's not
Oh,
real. Just in case anyone wants to know, it's not real. And it was easily faked. And then what made it funny was, and this is the second time Xbox has done this, which I really like, is that they've hey, my cat is stealing comics out of my shelf. Stop.
good
Um,
taste.
he's crazy right now. But what they did was Like they actually made, in case anyone doesn't know, I don't know if I talked about this last podcast, but Xbox did make an Xbox Series X fridge, and they sent it to Snoop Dogg. And then they actually shot a promo for it, and you can go look on their YouTube or their website, and you can actually see where they made a real. And the fun part is, it's also a working Series X. Like you can plug it into your
What?
TV and play.
That's insane.
Just because it has like a Series X inside of it, and that's how you do it. But technically, like you can
Right.
plug it in your fridge. But they sent that fucker to Snoop Dogg. So Snoop Dogg has a Series X as his actual fridge. I don't know if he actually put it in his house, but he did a whole Instagram
I
video where
mean,
he's like they fucking did it. On that funny note though, with this Xbox smoking thing or whatever, people showed how they did it because essentially the Series X is a tube of take air in, cool shit off, blow air out, right? So people could, well, this is where it gets tricky. The way that people thought it was real and smoking was because when you turn it off, there's a standby moment where it does like a gust, where like it like does like a fast whirr, like to cool off as it's shutting down. So the light goes off, but it does that little whir, and people were putting vape smoke in, so it looks like it's shut off and smoke is coming out. So people showed how this is easily fakeable, and to the point to where Microsoft didn't even acknowledge it as like, hey, if you are experiencing a smoking Xbox, we'll help you out. No, they went on Twitter, like you told me earlier too, and actually tweeted, we can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X. Then they followed up with, if you have any non-vape related grievances or issues with your Xbox, here's the website to go to, which is like xbox.com/support. And so they were just like, we know for a fucking fact that our systems
yeah,
are not smoking as much smoke as a vape goes out, because for one, electrical fires or smoke is like, I think it's black, doesn't even look like.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like,
You're gonna know. You're gonna know for sure.
so I did want to acknowledge that, because so far that's the only thing I've heard. It's been
Other.
faked. I've heard about the ping pong thing where it can make a ping pong ball float,
Oh
and
yeah, that's just yeah.
which
That's cool.
which if it's true, fucking awesome. Why is
Yeah.
Xbox? My friend Brandon pointed this out. He goes, if this is true, or maybe you pointed out, um, if this is true, Xbox needs to be selling ping pong balls right now. I'm telling you right now, if I had a little green ball that had the X on it, and I could just set it in my system, since it is kind of slightly concave in, it would just stay
Mhm.
in your system. And I turn on, and that ball just floats.
Oh,
Done. I'd buy that ball
that's a
in a
seller.
second. I'd pay $2 for that
Absolutely.
ball.
Easily.
The
You
only, the only
skip 2 coffees.
exactly, you're good. And the only thing I've heard about PlayStation, and this was before the launch, was a reviewer said that there was a storage issue when he was moving stuff back and forth that caused his PS5 to brick completely. But I've only heard of one reviewer has officially reported this, where like it went through the rounds where people verified it, like, no, this fucker's bricked, and he had to send it back to Sony. As far as people, consumers buying it, I waited to talk to you until 1 today because I wanted to see if there was any tweets or reports or anything. I haven't heard anything at all on the PS5 side.
Was that reviewer? Was that ACG? Is that who you're thinking of?
I'm not sure who it was. I read it on a third party tweet.
Okay, because I do follow him. I like his reviews a lot. I'm not trying to plug too many people on your podcast.
Oh,
I
you're fine.
swear.
Yeah, plug them all.
But he does really good unbiased. I think, anyways, fairly. I mean, as unbiased you can be reviews. He doesn't do a lot of BS. But he did say that his PS5, his review copy, he buys whenever he gets a review copy of something. He also then buys a version of it and gives one away. He
Cool.
said he had to basically buy another PS5 because his review copy completely bricked. He didn't say in the video that it was from a moving issue.
Yeah.
It was just like something like some the memory thing overheated and the whole thing just
Maybe that's it then, because all I knew for a fact was that it dealt with memory,
yeah.
and maybe it was someone asking, like, well, was it when you were transferring from a PS4 or like something like that? So maybe that's what I read. But yeah, the one article I actually got a hold of said that it was a memory issue, but that's all it said was memory issue. So I was like, all right, whatever. I
Well,
did straight up just lie though, because I forgot. I have been seeing real videos of people having problems with the disk drive in the Series X. I just looked at my notes and I
yes.
forgot. There are people that can't put the disc in. The people
Yes.
that it's just clicking, and that's with the Series S and X. Like once they get the game in and it's going, you hear like a clicking because people are asking if their Xbox is turned into metronomes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've seen where the disk drive has completely failed, where they put the disk in and
And
it
it's just
doesn't,
basically a rapid fire, like a machine gun.
yeah, and it won't
Yeah.
read it, won't pop up, stuff like that. That though, when you're talking an optical disk drive, that's going to happen. That could be
Oh yeah.
shipping, people throwing it. It's something if it happened on PS5,
That's
that could be something wrong with shipping. Someone could have dropped it. The person posting the video could be facetious and actually like did something stupid to it, and then just
yeah. I
didn't
mean,
hit record after the fact.
that's why I don't like going with discs anymore. Ever since the disc tray doesn't come out of the console, out of the machine,
Hmm.
I don't like disc because these self-feeding ones, man. If there's an issue, you've got to dissect the machine. You're gonna void
Yeah.
a warranty. I'm not confident in my own tech abilities to dismantle one of these fucking $500 machines.
No,
My 360 though, I had disk drive problems all the time.
me
I
too.
I I took tools to it. I
Yep.
fixed it. But the disk drive came out at least.
Sometimes I had to like put something in like a screwdriver just to kind of like
Yeah, yeah. You
in
you
between,
you
and
jimmy
eventually
it.
it'd pop out.
Hmm.
I still have my 360 underneath my TV stand right now, and the disk drive only opens in vertical mode, but it still opens. So
Oh, and that's the thing. I had back with my PS2. I remember, my uncle always loved standing it up on its side, and his my infant cousin at the time, he knocked it over, and it fucked up the game that was in it. So someone could have like, I very much doubt that somebody had a Series X standing on its end and it fell over without like
no,
offsetting their floor joists or something when it
no,
hits,
no,
because that's gonna be a big shake.
yeah,
But I don't know. I mean,
what we
I don't
call a
trust disk
chunker.
drives. I just don't like CDs. I don't like them. I don't trust them.
And honestly, when it comes to that such situation, any other medium, books, especially movies, shit like that, I buy physical
Mm-hmm.
because those 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 versions of media are reliant on third parties 100% of the
Yes.
time. I didn't buy a Batman Blu-ray like I just did for the Death in the Family Blu-ray. Um, and there I had a Batman Death in the Family player. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I use my Xbox or I use my PS4 or a third party or someone else's DVD player. So those are reliant on. So like if I buy a movie on Vudu, there's a chance Vudu could go away, and where do my purchases go?
Right.
You know what I mean? So like there's so many ways to get movies digitally and streaming that I fear about buying movies digitally because those places could go away and they don't owe you
Mm-hmm.
shit. Your
Yes.
whole catalog could be gone. Whereas
Absolutely.
I can play a DVD from 2006 or whatever. I can still
Yeah.
pop it in my system and play it, and I still have the movie. I physically own it. Now with games, if I buy an Xbox game, that only plays on an Xbox system. The only way
Yeah.
that that game could disappear digitally is if the entire system and that entire infrastructure goes away. So like Xbox would literally have to go away anyway and not work anymore for me
And
not
you
to be
got
able to
bigger
play that game
problems.
digitally. Exactly. So like I feel digital is different when it comes to movies to games.
I feel like Nintendo actually has the right idea, because like anymore discs are just like you said earlier in the show. They're just codes, right? Like they're just codes that
Mhm.
give you the authorization to
Yeah, the
access
Spider-Man.
the game. You've got to still connect online to get updates. The game, it doesn't function as intended for most games anymore on launch day without the updates from connecting online. Like, I mean, I'm pulling this out of my ass, but like
No, still. No, you're good.
nine times out of 10, these games have. I mean, the devs are relying on day one patches. That's just a thing now, and that's
Hmm.
fine. But your disk doesn't mean shit besides just being a key letting you access the game.
Yeah, because
'Cause
like I
you
said, those things run on their respective systems. So like if that system goes away, you couldn't play the game anyway.
you still got to
That's
install the game. You can't. You're
exactly.
not playing it off the disc even.
No, no.
I wish that if I would be more likely to buy physical copies of games. I still wouldn't because I just don't want the clutter. But I'd be more likely if they came on chips or cards. I just don't like discs, man.
I would
I
actually really like it if they started selling digital copies physically, but where I just buy the case and a code. Because I'm not gonna lie, like you said, you don't like the clutter, but nowadays with backgrounds and me trying to have a fucking background, it would
right.
be nice because I have like 300 digital games on my Xbox right now. It'd be nice to be able to be like, I have all those boxes and I can make a cool. My shelves would look really cool and you can physically see all the games I have. Because right now I have like one shelf full of Blu-rays and
I mean, they
music.
were cool. They were cool at the time, but I have now like 160 Xbox 360 cases with the shitty little GameStop stickers on the front,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just got no value out of them now. Like I
Like
don't
I
know,
said,
they're just sitting in a closet rotting.
it'd just be nice to have the option, or give me a discount. Give me a discount. Give me
Yeah.
like a $5 discount because you're not spending money on packaging or printing the discs. Just give me $5 back.
See, and that's the thing. The brick and mortar stores that the Sony and Microsoft rely on to sell their consoles and their their controllers and their hardware, those companies wouldn't sell their stuff anymore if they started giving discounts for digital purchases, because
Yeah.
then it'll
Steam,
disincentivize buyers.
Steam kind of revolutionized the game by allowing returns of digital games. They were like one of the first
That's
people that allows returns.
that's big.
So I was just like, well, that's kind of nice because if you do get a shitty game, you're like, oh my god, this kind of sucks or whatever. But uh, that's where
Yeah.
you look at something like Microsoft's ecosystem. I feel like they're seeing kind of around the curve because they're looking at their ecosystem and they're just like, oh shit, maybe we're moving to a place where you don't have systems, or maybe we're moving to a place where people are going to be so split on how they play games, whether it's streaming on their phone, playing an actual disc in a system, a digital game in a system, on a television, on a laptop, and you're like, oh shit, they have all bases covered right now. Like I can stream to my
Hmm.
phone, I can play on my system on my TV, I can play on my laptop. Like looking towards
That's
that
crazy.
that kind of shit. So I'm like, okay, let's see if you guys are right. Because I don't know. There's been a lot of hit and misses, like we were talking about with Google, or not
Media.
Google Glass, but with Microsoft's the 3D software they were using, like
Oh yeah, smart glass, right?
Smart Glass. That's what. Yes, yes. I remember I had the Smart Glass app, and I was like, this is so cool. I
Yeah,
can.
I was pumped. It's still on my Windows phone.
Oh, really? Because
I've got a Windows phone that I don't use anymore, but I miss the thing. The UI was great.
you open it up, it's just
Uh,
like this doesn't work anymore.
Man, just like just a violin playing whenever I look at that Windows phone in my drawer
I did
next to
have in
my
my
Zune.
notes. Oh God, you still have a Zune?
I
That's
had the
awesome.
old 30 gig until it died. It died. It just couldn't take it anymore, and it just quit. It fought a
I
good fight though.
I did have in my notes the Godfall Metacritic score was bad, and just if you're watching the video version, it's 62.
Ooh.
So it is hitting.
Oh.
And look at that too, also on PC. So it's like, are you even exclusive anymore, bro?
Man, that's
I
just
don't know.
brutal. Well, that was weird too, because I did not expect what was it, Gearbox to do a Sony exclusive. That was a weird
Yeah,
situation,
that
right?
was kind of odd.
Because
But
what it
but
was.
I mean, Bungie, they didn't do an exclusive. Oh shit! Focus back.
Oh,
Focus on me. My camera.
it's
It's all fuzzy now.
yeah.
I messed it up. I screwed it up. There we
Maybe
go.
there we go. There we go. Now we're normal.
Um, but
Breathed on it or something.
yeah, with Bungie doing like non-exclusive, but they sure as fuck did times exclusive for Destiny.
Oh yeah. Well, Rockstar
Whole
did it a
weapons.
bit with Red Dead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't make that one. It was a laser
Gun, was it?
gun. Yeah, it was a laser gun. It was void damage. It was an exotic. I don't remember what it was called, but they didn't make it available till Shadowkeep, and by then they done
Was
fucked
that
the
like a
game up.
year
So
later?
that was the start of year three. Year three was Shadowkeep, and they made it was a cool gun. I got it. I played with it a little bit. It wasn't any better than any of the other guns. Like you weren't missing anything, right? It was just
Mm.
cool looking. Um, it wasn't meta in any sense of the way.
Mm.
Everyone was just using like the grenade launcher and the SMG you got from being a dickhead in Crucible. I mean, that's what I was using. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I quit playing it. Like I was kind of excited about the new expansion they just put out, but like
Mm-hmm.
I don't. The problems that I had with the game they introduced last year, they didn't fix, so I'm not returning to it. But I can see why other people are, because they did some cool things that like they're doing like a cycling content, and they're bringing back some of your like Destiny 1 content.
Ooh.
And one other cool thing I thought they were doing, they're not going to do a Destiny 3. They're going to just continue. Pardon my stupid dogs.
He's like, no,
Hey.
get out of here.
Yeah, you see, I talk about Destiny and the dogs get pissed. They know. I'm gonna walk into the room because she's just gonna be stupid for it.
Oh, you're good.
Anyways, the where to go? So what it is they're cycling content to where year or not year one, Destiny 1 the game stuff, like year the Vault of Glass raid,
Yeah.
and some of the locations are returning, and they're gonna cycle out some existing content in Destiny 2 because quote unquote the game is too big.
Oh yeah, I have heard that they're gonna try to shrink down some of the size on that.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're into that, it's cool. It's stuff that I would have been excited for if I was still into the game. Because
Well,
I wasn't looking forward to Destiny 3 coming out and losing all my Destiny 2 progress. That was one thing.
I am getting Stadia here in the next like 2 weeks for free if you're a YouTube Premium user. Side note, if you've been a YouTube Premium user before November 6th, you can get the Premier Edition. I don't know, it's a $100 version of Google Stadia where you get a Google Chromecast 4K and which that's worth it, and then fucking the controller for free. And Destiny 2 was like their premiere, like, hey, it's gonna be on here, and we're like, well, yeah, because it's free to play. Like, what the fuck?
Just side note, when they did put Destiny 2 on Stadia, all the servers crashed on all the consoles. I'm not saying that's what caused it, but I am saying that's what caused it.
Have you heard this game called Elden Ring?
That's isn't that a game getting written by George R. Martin? Am I
don't
thinking
know.
right? Like
I
it's
honestly don't know.
or is that
It's done. Well, no, it's done by Miyazaki.
I thought George R. Martin had a hand in the script for that game.
Could
Maybe I'm
be.
thinking something else.
To be honest with you, this is the first I heard about it, and I heard some people talking about it because apparently Phil Spencer said he's played it. I guess some people were hyped about it, but they haven't heard anything. And he's like, "Oh, I played it. It's Miyazaki's like most ambitious-looking game or whatever." And he gave a statement where it says, when asked how much of Elden Ring he'd seen, Phil Spencer told GameSpot's Tamur Hussein, "I've actually seen quite a bit. I've played quite a bit." While Spencer can't say too much, he gave us enough to set the hype high, saying, "As somebody who's played all of Miyazaki's games over at least the last decade, this is clearly the most ambitious game he's done," he says. "I mean, I love his games, but seeing some of the gameplay mechanics stuff he's tackling, he and the team are tackling this time of the setting, working with another creator in terms of story," which might be Martin. He goes, "I love it." According to Spencer, Elden Ring is Miyazaki's he is expanding his horizons. He also says that leaves the room while Spencer plays. "I think that's because I'm a bad player." Oh, I guess Miyazaki leaves the room while he plays because he says I'm a bad player, or he thinks I'm a bad player, and he'll come back in and have a conversation. So I don't know. Oh, and it says he's so passionate about what he does. It's one of the things I just love about getting to work with him on some of these games and seeing them come to our platform. So is this low-key an Xbox exclusive?
I don't think so. I think they would have said that by now. I did look it up. Well, that is the one George R. R. Martin does have a hand in.
Well, shit. Now I'm interested. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I guess. Some people are theorizing, and I didn't click any of the articles. It looked like clickbait, but that they think that maybe the game keeps getting delayed because George R. R. Martin's writing it.
Oh shit. That wouldn't even be like a speculation. That'd just be like part of the
Yeah, that's
course,
just
right?
fact. Yeah, like I mean, fuck, we haven't even got when's the winner yet. Like,
But I mean, I guess that's the latest news we've had is he was asked by GameSpot, Phil Spencer was, about the game or whatever, and that's what his statement was. So
it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I mean, he's kind of a polarizing writer anymore, but I like the stuff he did put out. So
yeah,
if he does something cool, and Miyazaki's a well-acclaimed game maker, so
yeah. Let's see how it goes. I have that thing about. Sorry, I'm just plowing through
No,
some
no,
of
go.
these notes. There was a Go Nintendo had a thing about Mega Man 11. I liked Mega Man back in the day. I haven't played it in a while.
I
But
suck so bad at those games.
talking about its sales, though, it says in Capcom's latest financial report, Mega Man 11 continues to sell. The game is now at 1.3 million units, putting it very much in the upper echelon of Mega Man games. It now sits third place overall in terms of best-selling Mega Man games, with Mega Man Battle Network 4 at 1.35, Mega Man 2 at 1.51, and it's sitting at third at 1.3. It says 11 could overtake Mega Man Battle Network 4 and a slightly lesser chance of becoming number one overall. Um, I mean, that's kind of a big deal for Mega Man.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if they
Get
release a
going, man.
game and then it sells better than all their other games ever, it's like, oh,
Well, now he's on more platforms though, right? Because it's not beholden to just because didn't like back in the yonder days, wasn't Mega Man just on like NES and SNES? He wasn't on like
it was,
Genesis or
yeah.
anything. But now
I-
he's on PlayStation. He's on Xbox,
yeah, but yeah, Switch, everything.
Switch. Yeah. So I mean,
Legacy, all that shit came to everything, so it definitely did all that shit. Another thing I think I sent you was about Samus Returns getting leaked.
I did see that.
People thought it got leaked because do you see that picture I sent you about the packaging, and then there was like a little brief video about it,
Let me see.
and they show this kid playing like different games with like the Mega Man skins on and shit.
Let me zoom in on the picture here.
If you look at the top right picture of the kid playing, that's like
Oh yeah.
that's Metroid, and people are wondering if it's footage or not. And everything I've read is split of like, is that actual maybe leaked footage from a new Prime or maybe a collection, or but people looked at it and like, oh no, that's Samus Returns from 3DS.
I mean, yeah, it's Nintendo, so they could either be like giving us the tease, or
Mhm.
they're pros of this. It could just be a placeholder thing.
I'm not gonna lie though, I am liking this. I'm probably gonna fuck up my camera again, but I am liking the dock sticker.
Oh yeah,
Makes it look like a SNES
Uh,
cartridge.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And then you got like
I've
things or
seen
whatever.
I've seen mods for the Switch docks where you can make it look like old Nintendo consoles. Like I saw where someone went like the extra. Oh no, it's still fuzzy.
It'll get there.
Yeah, I
I'm
get
not
there.
worried
Yeah,
about it.
they've taken it to where like it looks like an N64. Like I don't know if they hollowed out an N64. They just got, which seems like a sacrilegious thing to do to me, but
Yeah.
or just like took like a plastic shell, and put it around the dock, and then to where you slide the Switch itself in there, and it kind of looks like an N64 cartridge sliding in, and then you boot up Mario 64 or some shit. And
That'd be pretty sick, actually.
yeah, I'll have to find it because I remember seeing that. It was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. It wasn't the clear purple, but it was good enough.
Still sounds really cool,
Atomic
though.
purple, I think is what it was called. Atomic purple.
I think it was too, actually, because I remember like 64 came out with a bunch of sorry, I keep fucking with my hair. This headset keeps sliding and moving.
You just need a hat, man.
I do. And I have one over there too. Fucking I think it was Atomic. I can't remember what the orange one was called, because I know the N64 had they came out with a bunch of different.
Yeah, it was green, orange, purple.
There's a
Purple was the
Pokemon
popular
one.
one, right?
Well, like
Yeah, that was the Pikachu one. Wasn't it? It was bright yellow.
Yes. Well, and like
Yeah.
blue, and oh, it's so cool. It had Pikachu on it. Still kind of want that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Man.
I guess the rest of my notes besides that shit. Did you ever play a game called 13 back in the day? Cell shaded game, first person shooter called. It was basically XIII. Is Roman numeral.
Yeah, I remember it being advertised. I never got to play it, but I always was interested because I mean it was just an odd name for a game. But no, I never really played it.
I played a little bit of it. It's fun, just like story game. It was good. But I guess it got remade. So people were talking about it. It got a little traction because the remake is getting so many bad negative reviews on Steam because they took the cell shading off, and that's like the complete art style.
Really?
Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, they Fortnited it, because it looks like they tried to go with Fortnite graphics or something.
Oh man.
So I was like,
And like,
okay.
was the game renowned for being cel shaded, or was it
hmm
just cel shaded because of the limitations of the time?
No, it was made to look like a comic book. Like
Oh damn.
there are certain points where it pulls out and there's like panels, and then like when someone yells, like there'd be like dramatic moments, like funny comic where like you'd see like like an
Hmm.
actual visual no come out of their mouth. It was very stylized comic looking, and now
It's just,
it's
oh,
just kind of
that's
odd.
distasteful.
And I guess it doesn't play any better than it used to. People are like, holy shit, I played the original and it plays better than this one. And so
What?
like people were just shitting all over it, and I thought it was kind of funny, so I threw it in here. But I will plow through some of these notes real quick. We talked about the
Yeah.
Spider-Man stuff, which was a big part of it. But you're talking about memory stuff earlier when you're like, well, do I even have the memory to play some shit? Well, PS5, I will say for anyone who doesn't know, I think I talked about it last podcast, but it uses I'm going to talk about usable space. The PS5, whatever version you get, has usable space 667 gigs after you do everything. It'll say 825 or 850 on the box. It's 667 gigs. Um, Xbox is Series X. I'm not going to talk about Series S because I think that's only 500 gigs and it's probably 400 after. But with Series X, it's going to be a terabyte, but usable space is 802 gigs. Um, that is putting it at a 17% less capacity. And the reason I bring that up is because, like I said, I think I might have said this earlier. I don't know if it was when we were talking or recording, but um, you can only play PS5 games off of the internal SSD drive. And as of right now, that you cannot, it does not support any external SSD drives. And there is a slot that was shown. If you guys have watched that video where they take it apart, and the one guy like takes off the sides and shows you how to mount it from the side and take the thing off. He shows a slot where it's going to be for an internal expansion slot for an SSD, but I'm sure it's going to be proprietary to Sony because they make every memory thing proprietary, like they did with Vita. It looked exactly the same as the Sony memory cards, but you had to buy the one that said Vita on it. But they haven't announced anything about those yet. There's not even rumors or leaks about that coming out. So you only have, if you're buying a PS5 version of a game, it has to be installed on the SSD drive, and it's only playable off of that. You can, however, store them on an external HDD drive. So you can plug that in and store these fuckers. But if you want to play that version, you have to transfer it back over to your system to even play it. Now with Xbox, you can play a game off your HDD drive. You just won't get the upgrades. And then if you want to transfer it to your internal SSD, you can play it off there and get all the upgrades plus the faster loading times and all that kind of shit. So, but I didn't really think about the 667 to 802 being like a huge deal. And someone pointed out
Hmm.
like, oh shit, that's like almost an entire Call of Duty game or 2 Call of Duty games or some shit. And I got the actual numbers, and it's 17% less storage space with no offer to expand, which you do have the offer to expand the 1 terabyte option for Xbox. It just happens to be $220.
Man, that's just brutal. Because if you could
It's a
just, if it just
lot.
came with like a bigger hard drive built in it, it wouldn't cost as much, right? Like, because when you buy a hard drive, a lot of the cost is just like the machine itself. But once you start getting like bigger gigs or terabytes or what have you, it's an incrementally less increase per terabyte.
It
If you've
is.
noticed.
It is, yeah. But I will say the good thing is about those little stupid memory cards is what they're calling them, and I'll call it too because they're like blank. But they does plug in, um, but it has a proprietary way it plugs in when the actual pin connectors on the inside, so it acts as if it is the internal SSD drive. So
Hmm.
like I don't know if people get too into this. I don't know if you do, but I get into my external hard drives, how fast they spin, because
Yeah.
you can get faster loading times if you play off an external that has a faster spinning hard disk drive.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what
Um,
I looked into with my Seagate.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, that acts exactly the same as if you open that fucker up and just installed a 2 terabyte thing into it if you plug that thing in. But I
That's
did want
pretty
to,
cool.
but the only reason I bring that up is because I wanted people who were buying two different versions. Like if they're just buying the PS5 version of Spider-Man, and they have an external hard drive on their PS4 right now, just know you're gonna you're gonna have to have that installed on that internal one to even play it. But you can store the memory onto an HDD drive, but it's not playable at all.
And like the trick is like the PS5, from what I understand, it loads faster. It's a SSD. It loads faster than the Xbox
Hmm.
Series X, but at the same time you have less storage, and you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. With
Yes, yeah,
you're going to be spending the time you're saving in the loading,
you're
you're going to be
transferring.
spending and transferring from one device to another
Because
until
imagine
you can get an upgrade.
you buy Demon Souls, you buy your Spider-Man, and you buy a Call of Duty. You're probably 3/4 of the way done with that hard
Yeah,
drive.
or Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk. I mean,
Valhalla, yes, and then
yeah,
in Cyberpunk, which I still don't know if they're offering a next gen version or a upgraded version on PS5. I know they are
I
they were the first people to jump on the
the
smart
Xbox
delivery.
One.
They were the first people to go, we support smart delivery. Buy any version and you'll get the best version.
And that game's gonna be 70 gigs just on the current, or well, I get. Do we want to start calling Gen 8 last gen, or do we want to still call it current gen? Like I guess current gen is down Gen 9, right?
We're
Not
technically
next gen.
fully in the first day of Gen 9. So
So
I
last
think
gen.
let's just say last gen.
Let's call it last gen.
Yeah.
Hell, no one else is doing it yet. Let's do it first. Maybe.
Oh, and also too, I I don't think I've mentioned this. Just so you guys know, there was a third release this week. Side note: Game and Watch came out. The Game and Watch came out with Mario on it, and it's a clock, and it has a bunch of cool things, and it sold the fuck out too. So, but the good thing
Yeah,
is, scalpers are not charging as much for it. You can still buy it for under $100 on eBay. So
there was news to me when you said something to me before. I'm like, what the hell? I had to look at it for a minute. I was,
I forgot. I mean, I didn't forget it existed. I just forgot it was coming out this week. I was like, why would you do that, Game and Watch?
that's just such bad
Then I saw
idea.
they were sold out, and I was like,
I
touche,
mean,
touche, motherfucker.
yeah.
Nintendo's like, they were like, everyone else is releasing consoles, and they're the kid that has the non-plugged-in controller on the side, and they're like, we're still a part of this.
Man, I see it different. I see it like they're like everyone else is showing off the hot new wheels they got, and Nintendo's this motherfucker that rolls up and like this ain't
With
shit.
the
Like,
original Mario game.
yeah, they're like no, like oh, you think your sale week is such hot shit? This is a big deal. You're selling out. People can't keep up.
You're playing Mario, and I think it had like a Game Boy game on it, and then it's a clock. So you're like,
they
yeah.
pull out that Rolodex. And they're just like, oh shit, what haven't I re-released in a month or so? Mario and Game and Watch. Fuck it, let's do that,
Do
and then
it.
just put them to shame. Put them to shame.
And you know what sucks about their mini consoles like the NES Mini and the SNES Mini? I want those. I don't
I
need
mean,
them
they're
at
cool.
all. I probably wouldn't play them that much. I played the SNES because my buddy let me borrow one for like 6 months, and I played Earthbound for the first time. Loved it. But having to like sit on the edge of my bed because it's a wired controller, I was like, oh shit, I don't like this. This is not
Oh
fun at all
man,
anymore.
that's rough. That's
Um,
rough.
we already talked about the
Our
controllers with
downs.
the feedback, right? We talked about the haptic and the
Yes.
versus the adaptive triggers.
Oh, did you mention? I don't remember if we talked about this. The PS5. I almost called it six for some reason. I'm stupid. The
We're already there.
PS5. Yeah, we're not there
PS6
yet,
watch.
man. Yeah, well, you heard it here first. PS5. You don't have to have a headset in to talk to people, right?
No,
Got the mic.
I haven't mentioned that. No, it does have one, and dude, for months I thought the PS4 DualShock had a mic in it, like an idiot, and I was like, why is this? I was like, my mic just doesn't
Yeah.
work because it has a speaker.
Just yelling at your controller
Yeah,
like an old person on the
maybe this will
phone.
work.
I want to talk to a person.
It's like that Simpsons meme: old man yells at cloud. I'm
Oh
yelling at
man,
my
yeah.
controller. But I'm yelling at my
Yes.
controller. But no, this does, and it has a very distinct. In case people are wondering,
Yeah, there's a mute button, right?
there's a very distinct mute button. I do not know. I don't know if it lights up, but it would
I
not
think
shock
push to
me.
talk would be better. Like if you
Okay,
could program it to
yeah,
push to talk,
I don't
that'd
see why
be
they couldn't. I don't see why they couldn't. But I think I'm not sure yet because, like I said, I'm still trying to talk to someone who has a PS5 so I can get little side stuff confirmed because I still
Mhm.
can't find out how streaming works on Xbox Series X, like built-in streaming. So far,
What?
it's just the Twitch app like it is right now. But
Hmm.
anyways, when it comes to that, I've heard them say that it doesn't do a great job of noise canceling. So you run that risk of like
Yes.
dogs barking, kids talking. You happen to
Yeah.
your girlfriend comes in, she's like, "Why haven't you fucked me in a while?" And you're like, "Shit!" And like,
Well,
but you do have the option to hit that mute button, so that's nice. It's a physical thing on the controller where you can just be like, "Fuck," and get rid of
yeah,
it. Plus, it's
yeah.
a really nice thing too. If you're playing a
Or
game
push to talk.
or
Push to
push
talk.
talk, just hold it down, talk, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And it has a speaker in it too, so you can hear them well. Now, someone said that it does do a good job, like if you're playing a game and you just need to talk a little bit, you can just mute it and then talk when you want. And your
Right.
friend, but they said the problem is with that is that if you're not if you're playing with a headset or you're playing with your TV turned up, they said it's hard to hear the speaker. So sometimes it's hard
Oh
to
yeah.
hear the person talk. But here's the thing
There
though,
are.
it's built in. It doesn't cost me anything extra, so I'm for it. If something doesn't cost me
Yeah,
money for extra, then I'm plus that feature. You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Like even if I hardly use it, it'd just be nice if you want to get into a game and maybe your headset dies. There's been plenty of times where my headset has died, um, and I'm struggling to plug it in or get my wired one, and I just want to quickly say, "Hey, my headset died. Give me a second." I can do that.
Right. Yeah.
I can do it with that controller. I can just be like,
Hmm.
"Hey," I can just be sitting there and just like, "Oh, my shit died."
Like I've got a buddy who his headset broke for his Xbox and he can't afford a new one right now, so he's using his phone and using party chat that, and it sounds like shit. And I got to
Yeah.
listen to his kid screaming, and it's just
Yep.
bad quality. Like man, if we were playing on PS5,
Yep.
you just be using that remote, buddy.
And you have that mute
But
right. He had that mute right between his thumbs. Just boop
yeah,
or push to
exactly. It's
talk.
just that easy. Yeah, or push to talk. That's right.
Yes.
Uh, Speaking of controllers, I don't know if we've covered this. I don't know if you covered it before. I want to say I either heard it from you or Major Nelson. Uh, Xbox controllers for the series. I don't know if
Okay.
it's a proprietary thing for just Xbox or for just the series controllers, but they have this function where if not if the controller is turned off, just like if you're not pushing any buttons for like a hot minute, it will pull less juice from the battery. And I'm talking like if you got AA batteries in it. He said
Oh.
something. He said something about this, and feel free to someone can fact check me if they really care that much. But
Would it be like a hybrid? Like
yeah, I
once
was
you go
gonna say
once
like a hybrid where if you're stopped at a red light and it kind of like sounds like your engine shuts off, right?
yeah.
And then it starts back up when you are ready to go.
Yeah.
That's kind of how he implied the controllers are working. So you actually get more longevity out of your your double A's or your
Hmm.
rechargeable batteries.
I've not heard of that, but that's the kind
That
of
was
stuff that makes me wet. I like that kind of
I'm
shit.
I'm 98% sure that was on the last Major Nelson.
Yeah, that wasn't me, but I like that feature a lot because
Yeah.
segue into the next thing we should talk about is the battery life. I did talk about the battery life for the PS5 controller and the headset
Hmm.
because I wanted to know more about the headset. I did find something out that I asked myself last podcast. I did find out. I know I'm doing a lot of transitions real quick, but I want to say
Right,
it
right,
before I
right.
forget it. The headset, other third-party headsets do the 3D audio. It's not just the Sony headset. I didn't know if that was true or not, but yes, I watched several podcasts and watched a bunch of PlayStation stuff. There are third-party headsets that will do the same 3D audio that the Sony one does. So you don't have to get the Sony headset to get the 3D audio. With that said, though, the battery life is average for both the headset and the controller are rocking average about 10 hours, which
That's good.
which which is good. That's a gameplay setting, but my Switch Pro controller and my Xbox Series X controller have lasted days.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
so we're talking a hardcore session. You're good to go. But here's the thing: there's been days I forgot to plug in my Pro controller, even my Turtle Beach headset, and my Xbox controller, and I've had no problem. You're going to want to keep your headset for your if you get the PlayStation headset and your controller plugged in at night. If you're not using it, plug them in. Even if it's a lithium ion, however you're supposed to say it. Um, I would keep them
It's your
plugged in.
podcast. Say it how you like. It's all
Yeah,
good.
exactly. So I would say keep them plugged in because now you can't
Oh yeah.
you can plug it in while you're playing. You can do that kind of stuff. And your headset does have an option where if it dies or starts to die, you can plug a cable into one of the earbuds and then plug it down into the controller, and it'll run off of the controller. It does turn off the 3D audio if it's plugged
Yes.
into your controller, and it does suck power from your controller.
Right.
So, you're sucking even more power out of these things. So I would keep those things charged because 10 hours sounds good. And the Switch battery life is like 10 hours for the whole system. I've never had that thing die on me. But I do keep it plugged in a lot, and I don't get on many
Do you run
planes.
it? Do you run it on lower brightness or like what's the?
I did auto for a minute.
Mhm.
But I usually run it about 3/4. Oh, did you mute? Oh, there you
Yeah, I got a phone call. Is there a way to pause this just for a minute?
go. Yeah, I can pause it real quick. Give me just a quick
Yep.
second, and all right, I think we're back, right? Are
All
you
right. Yep.
good? So,
Yep. I got the red light. I got the red light.
yes.
It's back.
Um, but no, the battery life for that stuff, just make sure it's. I would keep your shit plugged in on that system.
Oh yeah.
All my systems, I have a USB plug, like a cable that usually comes with the shit plugged into the systems, and I just usually at night I'll plug them all in. If I know they've been plugged in for like more than a day and I haven't played the system, I'll take them off and put them in my little cubby over here in my couch, so they're just like next to me and I know they're fully charged. But I'd keep those charged for battery life, stuff like that.
But
So
next gen, it's all gonna be USB-C. You're gonna have a cord nearby. I mean,
yeah,
it's
unless you got an iPhone, unless you have Apple everything, then you might
yeah. We're
not.
not talking this. Just if you're on an Apple, just turn off the. No, just kidding. uh,
Yeah, oddly
no,
enough, everyone's mainly Spotify that listens to this.
really.
I'm rocking like 75% Spotify that listens to
No, I
this
mean,
podcast. So
no, I'm one of them at least because Spotify has been my go-to lately.
yeah, they've been buying more podcasts. They've been buying more shows. So
There's talks that they're gonna it's the premium Spotify it's gonna get split between music listeners and podcast listeners. You might have
I've
to pay
heard
extra to.
I've heard that.
So
So
I'm just gonna have to find somewhere else to listen to podcasts if that's the case.
well,
I'm not paying.
I put this on
That's,
everything, so it's absolutely everywhere you could find podcasts. iHeartRadio, I have it on there. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. I think
oh yeah,
Stitcher. Shit, I don't know. It's on like nine different platforms, something like that. Anchor makes it real easy. I'll tell you that much.
yeah, I could
I
tell.
didn't know that Spotify owns Anchor.
Does it really? Oh,
Yeah, I just found that out last week.
holy shit.
I was like, okay, I guess I picked the right software to start a podcast on, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
Honestly, truth be told, my biggest problem with it wasn't really like the recording. It was trying to get the fucking RSS feed correctly.
Hmm.
I had such trouble doing that. And Anchor was like, hey, if you record it, here you can edit, you can do this, you can add stuff in, you can do that. And then we'll go ahead and we'll create you an RSS feed to link it. So I was just like, all
That's
right,
really cool.
fine, whatever, fuck it.
Because I mean, I have no idea the complexities and the difficulties that go into making sure everything is perfect and
Well,
uh
luckily, I did all the legwork when I first started. Anchor does help though, because Anchor publishes it for me to Spotify, iTunes, and Google, which are like the big ones. iHeartRadio, I had to go through myself and make a thing, and but that's the beauty of an RSS feed. I just put my RSS feed in there, and anytime that RSS feed is updated, it automatically just puts my episode on iHeartRadio and other apps. Like I don't have to do anything. I upload to Anchor, and those sites continually check the RSS feed to just keep checking it. And when there's new shit, they go, oh, and they pull it. So I don't have to do anything, which is really nice. Once you get it set up, you just post it and it goes everywhere. So it's really, really nice.
that is nice.
But YouTube, I do myself. I'm gonna have to throw this in Premiere and make a little video and then whatever. But it's not gonna be that hard.
Right.
Um, what else I
Well,
got here?
you got the skills for it. You went to school for it. You're good.
Yeah, I just wish I had a better software because I was trying to get around it. Because the fine part is my phone is better than this laptop. I
Well,
mean, in like when pure
you paid more
numbers.
for that phone than that laptop. Let's be real for a second.
Yep, $1,000 once this is said and done.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Um, we
Beautiful phone
we
though.
talked about PS5, Miles Morales. Oh, here's something about Xbox. They have confirmed now, as far as backwards compatibility goes. I just want to make sure that everyone knows this. Every Xbox One game will work on Series X, except ones with the Kinect in the title.
Yep.
They're officially shedding Kinect. So you have to go old school to play any Connect games.
So like for Connect Rivals, I just gotta dust off the old box and
My biggest
God,
thing was Star Wars Connect. That's going to be a
yeah,
game
it's
lost to time.
just a real big kick in the nads, man. Like,
I'm not dancing with Han Solo anytime soon. Um, Astro's Playroom was what it was called, by the way. It's in my
yeah,
notes. Is the title. It's a free pack-in. I already said that. Um, I wrote
it's
in
not Knack 3, right?
no, that's Bug Snacks pretty much.
That's what I was saying.
Which is free
That's
on PS Plus, by the way, and it's going to be free throughout till like January.
wow.
So
Should
it's getting decent reviews. But here's my thing, man, and I'll get on my soapbox for a second. I don't know if it's the way you are. I watch some of these podcasts that are very neutral, and I try to stay neutral. I really do.
right.
I love all game systems. I want a PS5 so fucking bad. I want my Xbox bad. I want the next Switch bad. But when I see some people mention the word cute when they talk about games, that's an adjective that does not enter my brain when I think about video games. I've
Like, I don't need that.
never in my life have I seen people are talking about Animal Crossing, and I bought Animal Crossing, right? And then eventually it got to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm just collecting stuff to decorate a house. I don't really want to decorate, so I sold that game and got Ace Attorney. It was a great game. Dude, I think Animal Crossing might have saved some people during the pandemic, and it sold a fuck ton of systems for Nintendo, which is
Sure.
great. But when people start saying, well, isn't it so cute? Aren't the characters cute? I don't give a fuck about if they're cute.
Yeah,
And
that's just not my
that's
bag.
I like cute things. My dog's cute,
Sure.
my cat's cute. But like when it comes to my video games, man, I just don't. When you say something's cute, it does not add to the bullet points of shit I give a fuck about. That's just me though.
Right. Like, I mean, what was that? That was all the rage for like a solid 2 weeks before Among Us took over.
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. I wanted to play that game so bad. I would never pay money for it.
Yep. The good thing was it was free. Well, with PS
It
Plus,
it, it was free.
the first like week or two, I got it on my PS4 if you ever get to Cincinnati. But
Yeah.
that was a fun game. But you're
And
right.
leave this great and wonderful state of
I know,
Indiana.
right? I know. But no, the same thing happened with that. Oh, they're cute characters, and yes, they were cute. I didn't classify them as cute. I thought they were quirky, funny.
Yeah, I thought it was quirky and like definitely like the ragdoll physics were
The
funny.
ragdoll
It was
was
very
great,
tongue in cheek.
and the fact that you could like some parts you feel like you're running through like mud, and you get right to the end and you jump and something would hit you, and you're like fuck, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
it was a weird thing.
It
By
was
the way,
lighthearted and bright colored, but it
I
was
think I have
also
some videos of me playing it on the YouTube, or maybe the Twitch. I mean, I streamed it on Twitch, but
not to plug another person, but I'm hesitant to even admit this, but I watched Markiplier play it, and it was funny.
yeah, I watched
You know,
watched Dr. Disrespect play it, and it was great. Like it was great. I had a blast watching him play and then win at that game.
oh yeah, when you see somebody win at it, then it's like, you did nothing, but somehow you share in the joy.
I might. Sorry, I'm. Says every Xbox game that doesn't have the Kinect and title works. Only PS4 games are on PS5. PS Now, with their PS3 and PS2 support, those games don't work as of launch. So who knows what they're going to do for all these people that are paying for PS Now. Which
They'll do something.
I think
They'll do
that service
something.
is. I think that service is kind of up there too, like $15-$20 if I remember right. Because I think Game Pass Ultimate with everything built in is 15. It is 15. Here's some news that you're really down with. Mass Effect.
Oh man, don't give me.
They
Let me
announced.
put on my red, blue, green filter real quick.
Oh shit. Mass Effect Legendary Edition was announced on November 7th and 7, which is fitting. I'm excited, but I was watching a very, 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 very proud Mass Effect fan who's over at IGN, and he's a huge fan. And I was watching him react to the news, and the news is very weird because they said they're not going to go after what makes those core games fun. And the one thing I want them to change is some of the core mechanics from Mass Effect 1 that make it kind of clunky.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just like, what's going on? And the words they used were, this will be a modernized experience that will not go
Ooh.
against the core at what makes those games great. And it's like, wait a minute, no. You can take some of the systems away from one, but granted, I did forget this though. This was a bridge game from fuck. I can't remember
From
I
was
can't
it?
remember the first game the guy did before Mass Effect. That was completely. It was KOTOR, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say KOTOR. It's
Yeah,
Mass Effect One's clunky combat mechanics felt very KOTOR-like in my opinion, and
but that they
that's
made
what.
that. But they made that game. The same guy from BioWare did that game, and
Mm-hmm.
that was completely turn based. And so when
Right.
you see Mass Effect, they had that option like you can kind of shoot ish,
Right.
but you can also tell your team where to go, and you can also pre-do movements and shit like that, kind of KOTOR. Then you finally get to Mass Effect 2, which is full on. You can shoot really awesome, and it has just enough RPG where it feels like a great RPG, but
Mass
also
Effect 2 is a great spot.
but great mechanics. Where I was just like, bam,
Mm-hmm.
and then the storytelling's on point, and
Oh
the choosing of dialogues on point. I gave a fuck about the characters. Like
man.
everything was great about that game, and I loved playing Mass Effect 1 just to see what options would carry over to Mass Effect 2 because I knew Mass Effect 2 was going to be great. So I was like, just get through 1 and I just focus on the relationships and what I was saying to people to see if they carry through. And I'm telling you, it's so worth it when you give like an interview or something in the first game and that fucking bitch comes back in the second game and she's like, remember when you were rude to me? And I was like, I do, like 40 hours ago in the old
Yeah,
game. Like,
I was glad to do it too.
yeah, I'll do it again. What you
Full
lazy ass?
renegade,
Yeah. Oh,
renegade ship.
full. Um,
No regrets.
and so
Uh,
like that was good. And this is going to be the whole original trilogy. They're doing this modernized experience, and it's going to be coming
man.
out. So, but I don't know, because here's the funny thing. This coincides also with it. They told this news on November 7th. November 10th comes out. You get Series X. You also get EA Play is now bundled in with Game Pass.
Oh, I didn't
Every
think about this.
every Mass Effect game, including Andromeda, is on EA Play. And this new version is coming out presumably first quarter of next year. If they've not already, as of right now, released when it's actually coming out, it's first quarter next year. So, which I could totally
That's big.
change. I could totally be wrong. But you're like, okay, is the EA Play versions going to stay the same, or are they literally going to have two versions of the exact same games on the same system?
I mean, it'll be like a retro version, and then if you want to play the modern version, dude,
Yeah.
the prospect of playing Mass Effect 1, but with like Mass Effect 2 or 3 gameplay is making me consider getting this package. And I hated Mass Effect 3. Like,
Yeah. And see, here's the thing though, from people who I know who've played Andromeda, I know it got shit on in the beginning, but just like with these, games as a service games get better over time. I've heard that they've fixed a lot of stuff, and I've heard people just say like, "Hey, I enjoyed my time in Andromeda. I don't see what the hate's about. Was it amazing? Did it hit me the same as the Mass Effect trilogy did? No, but it was a pretty damn good game. And coming back to the helm to oversee this trilogy and possibly maybe a new Mass Effect game is the original guy because he went over and he was doing something. He transferred jobs, but there's talks that he's coming back to oversee this modernized whatever. So I'm just like, okay, like I don't know what you guys are doing, but Bioware they need this. So
yeah, I mean, they're just on a hard string of L's right now, ain't they?
yeah, with the anthem and
Anthem.
everything. But which,
Oh,
by the way, it's free on EA Play.
oh man. Well, that's just a dead ringer right there. Oh, man, you should have led with that.
I know. The funny thing is, EA Play. I don't think I mentioned it last. I might have mentioned it last podcast. I don't remember, but every EA game is on there for free, except for they have 4 games that have extended trials, and then they're just going to be put in the what used to be called the vault, but they're going to be put in the patch to play for free anyway. And that's you can play Star Wars Squadrons right now, full game for 10 hours, and I played 3 hours and kind of got my fill. I want to go back for a little more. Um, but yeah, I can play Squadrons. I played UFC 4 on there because those games are so fun. I don't play the actual game. I just make a character and then go online with my friends and we just beat the shit out of each other because it's so
Yeah,
fun
I
to
would
have
say
fun.
that would be. I've never played one, but like I used to play like the wrestling games, and I figure it's the same concept, right? Like
Yes.
just except more realistic hitting, right?
But yes, and plus now like you don't know when you're gonna land that one punch that just hits the right spot and they're knocked out because there's no like health bars in UFC.
Right.
So like there's been times I've ran out and like me and Jared played it for like 7 hours one day. Because
Those
I was
games
like,
look fun. Those
it,
games look fun, but I've never been confident enough to actually buy one. You
oh
know?
yeah, well here it has UFC 1, 2, and 3, and then you can play 10 hours of 4 on EA Play. But it's fun
Oh,
because like one game I just ran out and just did a Superman punch, and he happened to duck and just he leaned forward and leaned right into my fist, and I knocked him out one punch. And
damn.
then we hit rematch, played again, and we went 4 rounds. So like that game's so fun because you never know what's gonna hit. And like we'll just be sitting there like talking shit, and then randomly he'll just go for a spinning kick, and I won't be paying attention. All of a sudden, boom, lights out, and I'm like, God, you just never know when it's coming. It's so satisfying. Plus, the ragdoll on that one is
Oh
badly good
man,
or goodly bad.
a solid ragdoll will win me over more than almost anything else.
a
8K,
ragdoll.
120 frames per second. Who gives a shit? Does the guy ragdoll when you knock him out cold? Oh,
Need it. I need that Skyrim
yes,
where
please.
the giant hits and the shit flies in the air.
Or like in Red Dead when you shoot a dude and he's on top of something and he just, regardless of their position, or if you shoot them with a high caliber gun, they're gonna fall forward to fall off that railing every
Oh
time.
God, the
Yes,
ragdoll.
please.
Speaking of ragdolls, Mass Effect, some great ragdolling.
That's true.
When you would shoot
Especially when
them
you're
and
like,
they'd fly, like no gravity, they'd like just fly off.
I always did the rush down shotgun guy where you would like teleport and slam into somebody and send them
Yeah,
flying.
I
That
did.
was my favorite.
I did the one where you literally throw them, you put them in the air, and then I just shoot them while they're
Hmm.
just floating like ragdoll in the air, and I just fucking shoot them. And I was like, wow, okay, don't need to think too much of this game. But yeah. Anyways, Mass Effect's Legendary Edition actually got announced, which people thought it was coming. People thought
Oh
it was
yeah.
coming. Here's the thing I want though. Uh, I'm very in the PETS acronym,
Mhm.
port everything to Switch.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
or put everything on Switch. I guess if you want to PEOS whatever. But if you put Mass Effect on Switch, I don't know what it is about that system. Maybe it just has to be possibly the accessibility and the portability. I'll
So
replay the entire Mass Effect trilogy on that system just because I know
for
I
the
can go take a shit and play it.
for the portability thing, do you take yours to work with you, and then do you just like do you commute? Do you commute by public transit? Is
No.
that when it's easy for you? Or okay, I
No,
wasn't
no.
sure.
When I did, it was when
Mm-hmm.
before I officially moved out of Indiana, and I was taking like the mega bus back and forth. Oh, dude, it killed time.
I'm sure.
Like, I would look up and be like, "Oh, I gotta get off bus." Like it was great, and plus, it never felt like I was sacrificing anything. You know, like when I was playing like Mario Odyssey on it, and like I'd get home and pop it on my TV and feel like I'm not playing a watered down version. It feels like I'm playing a full robust game because I am.
Right. You are.
So
Yeah. It was a
loved
solid
it.
game.
So
I
I
think
love it.
like the portability hasn't really worked out for me too much. I go to work and that's it, and I drive to Indy, so I'm not like.
Well, here's the great part: is you open up a TV. If you have a significant, now
Mhm.
you're in a situation where you have another TV, but say there's just a day
Right.
you guys just want to be in the same room, and she wants to
Yeah. Oh
Netflix,
yeah.
something you don't want to, and you're like, man, I wouldn't mind grinding something right now. That's when it becomes perfect. I live
Hmm.
alone, and just being able to take it to the bathroom, play it
Oh
in a
yeah.
tub, and then take it to bed, and not have to sacrifice TV or having to move shit and unplug and do whatever. That stuff just kind of it's a very, very alluring thing that's more powerful that I think people don't realize when they don't have it, that when you do have it, you're like when you're playing a game it's locked on your TV and you're like you want to go to the bathroom and you're like, man, it'd be nice if I could just sit in the bathroom and play this. Because sometimes I'll go in the bathroom and get lost on a TikTok thing or a YouTube poll or something. I'll come back
Right.
and be like, oh shit, I was playing a game. Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
It's a very alluring thing that I don't think people factor into
Well,
like their lives until they have it. So
that's the appeal of the xCloud on your phone, right? Like you can take a.
yes, but it's not. It's just like I said before with PlayStation Now, having it natively on your system will
Yes.
hands down. And I'm one of those people where like Some people don't care about the frame rate. They're like, I don't care, 30 to 60 as long as the game's good. Some people don't care about 4K to 8K to 1080p. My biggest thing is input lag. That's my
Yes.
number one thing. Input lag will drive me. I went through 3 TVs before I bought my TV. Like literally bought them, brought them home, played games on them, went, nope, took them back to the store, returned them, and bought another one. I did that 3 times because I could feel the input lag, and I was like, not having it, dude.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
it's deal
having it.
breaker. It's deal breaker,
So
absolutely. You
so
can't do it.
xCloud or whatever it's called now, I think it's just built in because it is just built into the Xbox app. It still has enough to where if I'm playing a Twitch game, I can kind of tell. But I mean, it's like a pubic hair away from being amazing, like perfect.
I
And
gave
so
it a go when it was still in preview, and I tried
it
to play
was decent.
Destiny 2
You
back
couldn't
when
do
I
it.
was still playing that. I couldn't do it. I was gonna raid with some of my clanmates, and I was gonna just lay in bed while I did it, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
I would try. I would give it another go once you make the jump to Game Pass, because also that's included in Game Pass. Is
Right.
that feature? I would load it up again just to see if it works. What people say is, and this is where I think it's a good value, is it's free as long as you have this stuff, and you're going to, because I want live, and I'm not paying 10
Right.
bucks for live when I can pay an extra 5 and get all the Game Pass shit and XCloud and EA and all that shit for an extra $5.
Right.
Um, it's a great supplement. Like if you're somewhere and a game was driving you nuts and you were on your lunch break and you just had to play it, even if you had a, you know, a 20 or a 50 millisecond input lag that you could barely notice, but you just wanted to play it, and you could just pull out your Xbox Elite controller and pop on your lunch break and just get through a part of a game.
Oh yeah,
It works perfectly for that. It works
that's
well.
cool.
It works well as a supplement. That's why I think Google Stadia fails, is because that's the only way to play it. Like
Yeah.
with XCloud, you have the option of like, I can play it somewhere. I have the option. I could hop on my phone right now and play Halo 5 if I want. I could drive anywhere, and I have 5G all over the city, and it works great. But I can also I can come home and play it natively on my system in 4K and whatever frames a second I'm playing on. It's great I have the option to do that. If it was the only option, or if it was a service that I had to pay for exclusively, I would not do it.
Right. Oh yeah.
Absolutely would not do it.
Yeah. I mean, and it also matters if you're one of the people that have a data plan for your phone, right? Like, I mean, I have unlimited data, and I think you
Same.
do too. But
Yep.
some people, they're operating on like 5 or 10 gigs.
Yeah. But if if they're at Thanksgiving this year and they're fiending for something, I
social
don't know,
distancing.
any game or
Social
something.
distancing.
Yeah. Gears Tactics or something that they want to play, because now that's included with Game Pass, so it's on XCloud. And you just want to get through something that's not super Twitch intensive. You could take a controller on your phone and go to whoever's and easily play. Well, right now it's any game on Game Pass. Their goal is to have any game in your library playable on it, and
There
they're
is a
getting
game on Game
close.
Pass. I think it's on Game Pass that I can't recommend enough. It was in beta forever. It's called Deep Rock Galactic. I think
Deep
it
Rock
recently hit Game Pass.
Galactic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's you're just like these dwarves working for some mining company, and you're going to like these different planets or moons or whatever the hell they are, and
Hmm.
you're completing objectives. There's different classes of dwarves you play as. You're just harvesting ore, and it's in a procedurally generated maps. So like every map is different
Okay.
every time. They have different like biomes, and there's different like creatures that chase you. But your goal is to do XYZ tasks. You have like a pickaxe, different weapons and kits and stuff. It's not a high graphic game. It's made by some indie devs. I can't remember, like Ghost Ship Games, something like that.
Well, that's cool.
Uh, I recommend it. It's fun. That's what I've
What's
been
it
playing
called
when I
again?
get Deep Rock Galactic. DRG is the acronym. It's fun. I've been playing it when I'm not playing Red Dead lately. And as far as upgrades, you can upgrade and get better gear, but mostly you're going to be getting cooler looking beards for your dwarves. Is the idea. Upgrade your beards, upgrade your pickaxe, upgrade your
Beards.
guns. Yeah,
Um,
but I think it's on Game Pass. So and it wasn't originally. It got added recently. But I mean, even if you don't have Game Pass, it's like a $15-$20 game. I think maybe it's 40. I don't know. I don't know what things cost anymore.
and it even supports Play Anywhere, so you can start
Yeah,
playing on your Xbox and go to your PC and download it, or I guess
Yes.
you can stream it now.
The crossplay, last time I tried it with a buddy that was on PC, it was kind of sketchy, but like you can matchmake with people that are definitely on PC. So I don't know if it's like as easy to queue into a game, maybe. Um,
Oh, dang. Looks pretty
but
fun.
it is
So
fun.
now you can't see it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but yeah, and they're always adding on to it. They kind of do like the Overwatch treatment where like they're doing free content updates, and really the only thing you got to pay for if you want it is like skin packs. It's
Yeah,
not
it's not bad.
RNG or anything. It's I thought I actually paid for the game. Like I said, I don't have Game Pass yet. I
Oh,
bought the
no.
game as soon as it was available. I recommend giving it a go. It might not be your thing. The shooting mechanics are kind of, some of the guns feel weak, but the real like serotonin supplier is when you find a really big vein of like gold ore and you just like get it all. Like that's satisfying. I don't know. It's Minecraft, but there's actually an objective, I
That
guess.
reminds me of No Man's Sky.
I could see that. Yeah.
Like when you find a big deposit of something, you're like, oh, fuck yeah. And you're like sucking all that shit out.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's so good. It's so good. There's 4 classes. There's a driller, and he's just got like these 2 big set of fucking drills and like a C4 kit to blow stuff up. There's a gunner. He's got a minigun as his main thing. He can drop a shield to protect people, and he can create zip lines for people to like move around. Because you're in these procedurally generated biomes, and some of them are huge. Some of them are these winding mazes. Some of them you got to get through by like, just like drilling through a certain wall. There's a guy with like his own little personal grappling hook. He's a scout, and then there's like a guy that can build turrets, and he can like shoot out platforms that he can build like alongside walls to make like step ladders.
Oh, dang.
It's a crazy game, and people get cool metas for it, and you can get all kinds of crazy different ability and weapon builds.
Well, I mean,
It's
here,
fun.
speaking of Game Pass, I just went to it to check out, see if that game's on there. There's an entire list of games you can play with just touchscreen.
Yeah, I did see that where you don't even have to have a controller for certain games. It's kind
Minecraft
of cool.
Dungeons,
I could
Tell
see
Me
that. Yeah,
Why, Streets of Rage, Hellblade 1. That's
that game wasn't very combat intensive, was it?
I
I
don't
don't think
know.
it
I mean,
was.
Hellblade 2 is supposed to be is like there is the only thing they've shown that's exclusive to Xbox Series X
Yeah,
because they own the Hellblade. Senua's the first one,
Senless.
Senua's Sacrifice. I forget
Yeah,
Senua's Rage or something. That's the one that has the photo realistic like woman like screaming or whatever. Dead
yeah.
Cells is on there. Guacamole. Yeah. Damn. EA plays it.
Man Eater's another fun one. I think it's on there.
Damn.
Carrion was another good
Celeste is
one.
on here now.
I'm telling you, man, I've got a bunch of games that are on Game Pass. Like I already have them because I liked them.
They put Five Nights at Freddy's, all four of them on here.
Oh, instant buy then. Instant buy, easy.
There you go. That's pretty easy. Okay, I accidentally closed my damn notes again. Oh, here we go.
Oops.
Well, I hit like
Distracted.
close all, but no. Oh, another thing about, since we're closing out the PS5 talk, I know this has been a long podcast, but this has been pretty fun.
Yeah.
Folders right now. We're talking about the UI for PS5
Mm-hmm.
and how PS4 you do have the ability to make folders for different things like you can with Apple or Android phones and different shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Folders as of launch do not work on PS5.
Really?
So you can't group stuff together yet. I'm sure they'll fix it because that was a feature on PS4 and other lesser things like phones and shit.
Is that like how you can make groups on the Xbox dashboard and then like have like your
Yeah.
pins and then you name different ones? Okay.
Yeah, same thing for PlayStation, where you can group your stuff together, like fighting games, or I have one that says games with friends, like they're just
Yeah.
games I play with friends that I know are installed in the system, so I can be like, hey, you want to play this? I'm like, yeah, I have that. We can do that. But it's just something I just found out about today. So I was watching something. Someone's like, hey, oddly enough, they're talking about the UI and the card system and everything, and they were like,
I think
we can't do.
I think
folders.
it's just I think it's because they did do a new UI from scratch, even though it's not a big change. It is a new one. I think there's going to be just quality of life changes that they're going to revert back in there, like save folders and wish lists and stuff like that. At least I hope so, because those just seem like no brainers.
And I understand, like, my knee-jerk reaction is just like, hey man, why wouldn't you just get all this shit perfect right out of the gate? Here's the thing though, you don't know what your product's going to be like in the masses. You know it's going to be like in the, maybe 20, 30 people that are physically developing the system. You guys might think of something, then you hand it off to someone, and you hand that system off to someone, and they blow fucking vape smoke in it, and you're like, never thought that would happen, like shit like that. So like,
Yeah, they're like, this motherfucker wants a ping pong ball. I didn't
yeah,
think of that.
nope.
Damn it.
So that's the thing with like these UIs. Yes, they don't have folders now, but I'm sure PlayStation will have those up and running and have your customizable options up and running that you had previous system. But they're probably worried about other things like if not crashing day one with a day one probably update.
Oh yeah.
Bit like that. So I'm sure they'll get to it, but I will tell people though, if you are looking for that feature right now as of launch, which we're still in the launch window, it just came out 15 hours ago, 16. Well, it came out yesterday, so I don't know if you're counting midnight yesterday. I don't know, but that doesn't work right now. There's not an option, so don't go looking for it. I'm sure if there's an update, you'll know about it. So,
Right.
And real quick, the last thing two things I'll talk about with system wise is I found out today that there's a thing called VRR. You guys can shame me because I didn't know about this, the variable refresh rate. I didn't know when I was looking through specs and everything, and I was watching a lot of digital Foundry, which I highly recommend that channel right now because they are answering a lot of questions for me. They do breakdowns. You might see a random YouTube user break down and show side by side. No, these people do real side by sides and they get full permission from Sony and Microsoft to break apart systems and break them down, and they run them off real working kits, and they sync up everything perfectly, so you're seeing exactly the same moment in each game. Anyways, they brought up almost kind of just kind of candidly, Xbox supports VRR and the PS5 does not. So as of right now, you can go into the Xbox and lock it at 60. So if there's games out there that have some kind of variable refresh rate, like Devil May Cry 5, this new one coming out, the Definitive Edition, is going to have a variable refresh rate where the system can go, oh, this game's letting me go up to 120, but I got to knock down the resolution. You can't turn that off with PlayStation right now. So if you let it run in the high frame rate mode, it'll automatically knock down your shit. Whereas Xbox has a variable refresh rate where, and I know it sounds like variable refresh rate means like it can refresh rate at different variables, and really it's saying it can like lock it at different refresh rates. So you can actually lock things down and stuff, so it's more stable. And I didn't realize the PlayStation doesn't have that feature in it. So I was just like, okay, that seems like it could be important in the future, because everyone's about 4K 60, and then I feel like the last 6 months of these consoles marketing, they're just like, oh, we might do 120, and I was just like, what? 120 hertz? What? Okay.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere for me. I was like, what?
8K was like, oh yeah, and like Xbox kind of just like was like, it can eventually do 8K as well, eventually. And then PlayStation was like, we're not saying nothing. And then like a week before launch, PlayStation was just like, we're also going to do 8K also. Yeah, we're going to support that. And I was just like, what? Like,
It's an arms race, man.
You guys don't even know what your systems do. What the fuck? But that's a feature. I don't know if more intelligent people understand the long-term effects of what having VRR is. Xbox supports it and PlayStation does not at the moment. I'm not sure if it's something that can be fixed in an update. Can just the way the system uses the hardware, I guess, could be changed. Oh shit! Can you hear that?
It's not that loud.
There's a terrorist being chased us. I don't know. It was like 15 cop cars.
Yeah.
But no, it does support that, and I just thought it was some
state.
Yeah, no, I'm in Ohio, but
oh shit, yeah, I know.
But I'm in a blue county though. Hamilton County went blue for the first time in forever. But no, it does support VRR. I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing. I guess supporting a feature is always a good thing. I don't think you can support enough features, but that was literally the last note I wrote before I started talking about the generations, because I was just like, that seems like something I should say, because this is the only place I've heard that it doesn't support that feature. So, and that was in a random Devil May Cry video on Digital Foundry, which I highly recommend.
Oh yeah, they're excellent. They're good.
The last thing I'll say about consoles is Nintendo has been on a console spree. They've been the best-selling console for 23 months straight.
Wow.
And their numbers were even great through October as well. But they've been it's been the US's best-selling console for 23 straight months. And the tablet had its best October ever. Granted, it was launched in March. It was launched in March or April. Fuck, I don't know. March or April, I can't remember. And I even stood outside. But it was launched. So it's the best October it's ever had, which is kind of funny because everyone knew that that PS5 and Xbox Series X were coming out the first week of November, but yet October they sold more than they've ever sold in the other 2 Octobers, I guess. But I'm trying to see. It
New
says
console's cheap.
$300. So
It's hard to pass up, man.
and apparently I don't know why they did this. Well, okay, I think I do know why they did this. Nintendo doesn't release their NPD a lot, or their sales pretty much, and randomly they release them right as these systems are launching. And it said that as of October, which just happened, they sold 700 in the U.S. alone, mind you, 735,000 units of the Switch and Switch Lite. And the company says that's 136% increase compared to last year. And to date, the system's at 22.5 million units sold in just the US. And it's 68 million units globally. So like their momentum has not fucking stopped since that thing has released. And I know that Animal Crossing was a huge push during the pandemic because I saw grandmas playing it. I saw celebrities playing it.
Yeah.
I saw night show hosts playing it. I saw everyone playing it or someone mentioning it. And they had Animal Crossing systems, and it's a console exclusive too. So
they even had QR codes for like political candidates, didn't they?
Yep.
For you to advertise.
I saw Biden in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a whole office and it had a website to go to get registered to
Mhm.
vote. And Jesus Christ, and that was
crazy.
recent.
Yeah. Like
but no,
that's nuts. You don't see that in games.
no.
Like Animal Crossing was never for me, but like I was always impressed by the social influence it had. I mean,
for
I
not
was
even
amazed.
being for not even being like, here's the weird thing about it. The portability makes it to where you can take it to your friends and you're playing your Switch physically together. But as far as online goes, you can't even send messages to them.
Yeah.
And granted, if you have Nintendo Switch Online, the NES game that has all the NES games in it, and then the Super NES games that has all the SNES games in it, they support online multiplayer, and it works phenomenally well. Me and my ex were for freaking playing Super Nintendo. We were doing Super Nintendo playing Super Mario World, and we were playing the shit out of it and like doing it online, no problem. Now we did the voice chat over the phone, but we were having a blast playing, no problem. So and I've played Mario Kart with my brothers. Me and him were playing Mario World. Like we did the whole 9. It had no problem. It was great.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people do the workaround. They'll play online for Switch, but like they'll use either their Xbox or PlayStation to
Chat. Yep.
Yeah.
Which I've done the same thing. I've done the exact same thing. And I don't know, maybe Mario Kart Live Home Circuit push sales for it, which it could. Thing's only $100. I mean, it's only 40 more bucks, and you get a physical thing you can drive around. So that's not too bad.
I would like a new Mario Kart on this gen. I would like an actual new Mario Kart. I mean, 8 Super Deluxe, whatever, is good, but
well, the funny thing is too is like that's one of those games where I know everyone's psyched about Super Smash. I sold my copy of Smash. I keep up with all the downloads, with all the updates though, because I do like that game a lot. I'm just not that great at it. And
no.
that's one of those games where like I hear everyone say like, oh yeah, when Smash comes out and everyone freaks out and everyone freaks out 'cause it's so popular. But Mario Kart's, I feel like the one game that Nintendo has where like everyone knows what it is. Like
Yeah.
even if you don't own a Nintendo system and haven't for years, I could have a random stranger come over and I'm like, hey, we're gonna play Mario Kart, and hand them a Joy-Con, and they know
Oh yeah.
exactly what the fuck to do. Like
Oh yeah.
exactly.
It's Mario Kart.
And almost everyone wants to play it. And it's a racing
Yeah.
game. I mean,
Yeah.
this is in the same place as like Xbox and Sony are like, we need Gran Turismo's back and we're having a new fucking Forza and ultra realistic and blah blah blah. And they're like, It's their
Nice,
shells
son.
at each other.
Mario Kart. It's the only racing game I even bother with Mario Kart.
Same.
Absolutely.
And I still
I
have
just,
it bought digitally. It's still on my system.
It's, dude, I bought it digitally. My wife and I, we were getting the floors in our house. We got all our floors ripped up and replaced one summer. Took a week off from.
Oh, muted you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
There we go.
There we go. Yep. I feel like I always have to ask to unmute you. Oh, you hear me?
This thing.
Oh, are you back?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. As I was saying, we were getting work done on our floor. Mario Kart. I bought it digitally, and we just played it in the garage.
Was it a Wii U or?
A Switch. Switch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we took a TV out in the garage, and we just played Mario Kart.
God, that's such a good game.
My wife is calling me again. I may have to cut this one short. I hate to rush you.
No, that was actually all I had in my notes for this week.
All right, man.
That's literally it. So, the only other thing I had in here was that the Halo TV series, they recast the Cortana spot. They actually put the voice actor who plays Cortana in the TV show. It's going to be coming out on Showtime. So,
Oh, nice.
I'm excited about that. But hey, dude, thanks for joining me on this 3-hour podcast.
Yeah.
So we got to do it
Yeah,
again.
thanks for having me, man. It was fun. Had a
No
good
problem,
time.
dude.
I'll
All right,
catch
man.
you later.
All right. See
Stay
you, man.
safe.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. See you, man.
Bye.
All right. That was fun. And my dog. Come here. Let everyone see you. Look at this man right here. Look at this handsome man. If you're not watching on video, what are you doing with life? There's a dog on screen. Ooh, oh, he wants to go outside. I've been talking for so long. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, guys. I'm going to turn it back over to Audio Zach. We're going to finish this episode out. Catch you guys there.